Sheriff's Office. Because I got swatted by our dear friend Steven.
Do you realize as you're lying on a public live stream about being swatted that there's records that are going to prove that never happened?
But again, I don't hate Steven. It just kind of amazes me that since 2018 that he just won't stop. He's just so mad at me, and he's so disrespectful, and he's always making up these lies that are very easily disproven. And he's got a show on YouTube, and he does 2.5 hours a week, sometimes more than once a week, just to hate me. And he's also out there attacking like Dr. Stephen Greer. He's really gone after Luis Elizondo. I mean, I think Luis Elizondo's cool, you know?
How dare you make these false accusations against me that are so easily provable? How dare you claim you're getting me arrested or you're suing me because I'm doing all these things?
I said, look, I know who this is. It's this guy, Steven. I've got an enormous amount of evidence. Let me send you the evidence, just a little bit, because we're going to have to sue him anyway. We're already working on that. He can't stop. He creates 40 identities a week, blah, blah, blah. We've been dealing with this for like 10 years. It's actually more like 7 years, as much as I can trace. He emailed the animal welfare to try to get me swatted.
He claims I took full credit for the swatting attack with 4 new aliases. No, I didn't. But we know who did, and we're going to show you, and that is a completely and totally false claim.
I mean, it's almost like he wants to be arrested. He wants to be sued. He wants to be in jail. I don't know why you'd want to mess with your life like this. I mean, to hate somebody this much, to try to get, to try to get me hurt, to try to get my dog hurt, it's really wild. And I kept thinking maybe he'll go away, maybe he'll stop, but he just won't.
Put together for you guys. Why the hell not? Does Galen need to wear sunglasses? He probably should.
Spooky says, I was working with a filmmaker who knocked on your door to ask for an interview. It was filmed. You then called Jim Martin at 1091 and threatened calling law enforcement.
We here at Truth Seekers challenge UFO Jesus to find us one investor that will show us proof that they got their money back or made a single penny.
This is who he is, and the evidence shows that he's openly and proudly satanic. Now, there's nothing intrinsically wrong with that. It's an accurate character portrait of the man who's been making all these accusations against me. Now you're going to get to learn who he is. This is what he's proud of. This is what he wants to be. This is what he's saying. And this is the stuff that's going in the lawsuit.
Just like my troll, wants to come after me with swatting. It's the same kind of thing. They are going to get really mad at you. They're going to threaten you. They don't want to publish your paper. But there is a very important reason why I'm doing this, because I got swatted by our dear friend Steven. This was the business card that was left on my door on Tuesday, and he then took public credit for swatting me on Wednesday with the police. That's right, this person who has been stalking me for at least 7 years that we know of escalated to the point of actually calling in a police hit on me to try to say that I was abusing my dog. And he wrote 2 different emails to them, which is all going to be in the investigation they're doing that's done on Monday. I did get swatted, and I never expected this to happen, is that this turned into the most dramatic escalation of stalking and threatening behavior from a particular person that I've ever had in my whole career. He clearly wants me to be destroyed. That was one of the terms that one of the police used. He wants to destroy you. I'm like, yeah, that's true. In essence, what's happened is that we've had this very intense invasion of my freedom and privacy, this person who wants me to feel bad, this person who is trying to hurt me. Stephen wrote two letters under pseudonyms to the police here in Boulder, which is, again, a serious crime. I mean, the police are very, very angry about this. They are not happy about this. They do not appreciate people calling in false claims like this. I told them, I don't know what this guy is capable of doing if he tries to call in a SWAT on me. So the SWAT team supervisor has assured me that they're not going to do any SWATs on my house. They know if anybody calls in with David Wilcock stuff to be very, very suspicious of it. Plus, I don't have anybody here. Somebody will call in, say, oh my God, there's violence. And what they're trying to do is to get a SWAT team to show up at your house, and they have their guns drawn, and it could be AR-15s or something like this. They could have body armor on, helmets, and riot gear, and they pound on your door. They might even break the door open, and they put you at gunpoint because they think that you're killing somebody inside the house. And I was so busy with what happened with this guy calling in a fake SWAT on me and trying to say I was abusing my dog that I wasn't even involved in this stuff. So thankfully, I didn't post anything about this. So I got to be very careful when I post because, again, this guy is attacking me with like 40 aliases a week. We now have hired a team and then 2 individuals. So I don't even know how many people are on the team. I think there's like 8 people on the team. So there's like a total of 10 people involved in stopping this one guy from bombarding my Twitter page with constant amounts of very, very vicious attack. But for him to escalate to the point of calling the police on me, he's actually now gotten himself in way more trouble. And it's much easier now for the police to cooperate with me to make sure that I'm safe. The crop circle directly tied back in with this business card that ended up on my front door thanks to getting swatted, which again shows that whoever this person, Stephen, is, he's really stepped it up and he's made mistakes. I mean, he's going to be, the police have told me I need to get a lawyer immediately. They're going to cooperate with the investigation. They're going to give me whatever help I need. They don't want to see me get hurt. Nobody should be threatened like this. And the police have already, as a result of him doing this swatting thing, the police have already spoken to the veterinary clinic. I know who this is. It's this guy, Stephen. I've got an enormous amount of evidence. Let me send you the evidence just a little bit because we're going to have to sue him anyway. We're already working on that. He can't stop. He creates 40 identities a week, blah, blah, blah. We've been dealing with this for like 10 years. It's actually more like 7 years, as much as I can trace. So again, he emailed the animal welfare to try to get me swatted. And the phone number for records is 303 blank. Now, why didn't she give me the phone number for records? Because we talked about on the phone that there's going to be an investigation. We're going to use her document that might be available as early as Monday. Going to contact the people in Philadelphia, the police there. She's going to talk to them directly. So is the SWAT team supervisor. So is the deputy. Okay. And they are going to help me because they see that this is like a very bizarre situation. Nothing about this SWAT attack was made public. And then this is the part that's so crazy. After he's under police investigation, because if you do this and you're lying, then they're going to get mad at you, not at me. After he already did this, he admitted publicly with his name that he was the one responsible for this. The fact that somebody swatted me and I have a police investigation now underway, and the police have basically demanded that I do a lawsuit. So now we're going to have to do a body lawsuit and a David Wilcock lawsuit. They'll help me. But they're like, you need to do this immediately. We don't want you having this guy stalking you and he wants to destroy you. You got to do something. I'm all right, you guys. All right, I'll do it. The thing that I couldn't even believe is he took full credit for this swatting attack, created 4 new aliases. He clearly wanted you to see these statements. He wants people to know that he was the one responsible. So in this one case, we're going to give him what he wants. He was called up Chris Beskar on Monday of last week and said he was the Washington Post. And I can't imagine he's not going to do another video, but the faster that he keeps attacking me, the faster the injunction is going to come down and the faster they're likely to arrest him with the cooperation of Boulder. Okay, that's what's going on. I've already spoken to the commander of the SWAT team, the local deputy, the head of animal welfare. None of them have ever heard anything like this. They don't know what the hell to make out of it. I gave them evidence that death threats had already been made in a 15-minute period on, I think it was June 29th from 4:43 to 4:58 p.m. in a 15-minute period. He attacked me like 30 times with 4 or 5 different identities. And in those 30 or 40 attacks were death threats. And I'm not going to, if I give them all to you, he's going to try to pick it apart and say da-da-da-da. But they're death threats. And I think the judge is going to agree that they're death threats. And it has significantly escalated this to a much higher level. So now I have to do a lawsuit. Now I have to get all this evidence together. So that's what I've been doing most of the week. I've been investigating the self-declared investigator. So as I just said, he had multiple death threats within a 15-minute period on June 29th. The judge is going to see that. That'll be in the lawsuit. I've got my team, so nobody can hate me on Twitter. I've gotten in touch with the local police, and his absolute hatred of me triggered this remarkable response from the universe in the form of this crop circle. So yes, if you're going to go after somebody, if you try to shoot 45, there's divine intervention. You try to get me swatted, there's divine intervention.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome. Tonight, we'll be giving you a very special report and an exclusive, a Truth Seekers exclusive story. Some 10 days ago, I believe now, David Wilcock made some fantastic claims, claiming that I got him swatted by filing false animal neglect reports with the Boulder County Animal Welfare Office. These allegations are completely and totally false. And I believe that we proved most of that in my last stream on this very subject. However, in the past week or so, I have been busily communicating with the Boulder County Sheriff's Department Records Division. What Mr. Wilcock fails to understand is that, first of all, Boulder County is one of those places where all officers wear body cams, so everything is recorded that they do. Mr. Wilcock, you saw in our introduction here, by the way, that was fair use. We need to show you him making these allegations in order to be able to properly defend myself from these false allegations. So we saw in the introduction that Mr. Wilcock claimed over and over and over again that he was, quote, swatted, unquote. But we have the evidence of what really happened. We have the proof, and we're going to broadcast it to you tonight in a Truth Seekers exclusive story. But before we begin the major presentation, I just want to put something on the record. Mr. Wilcock has made various claims that I hate him, that I'm perpetrating violence against him, that I'm stalking him, harassing him. No, I just want to put on the record, I don't hate David Wilcock, but I do hate what he does, because I believe that what he does is he lies to very vulnerable people, and he manipulates very vulnerable people to get into their wallets and make money from very vulnerable people. We have been reporting on him for quite some time, but it's important to note that he's only one of the many characters in conspiracy land that we cover. We've covered, I don't know, hundreds of different people in conspiracy land. Certainly, we have done multiple stories on him. So it's important that we make a distinction that what we're doing here is we are fact-checking and reporting on the things that David Wilcock talks about. You'll also notice that Mr. Wilcock says that I spend 2.5 hours a week hating on him. He doesn't understand how commentary works. Mr. Wilcock makes a 4-hour live stream, and yes, I do a show offering my opinions and commentary about the things that he said. This is normal on YouTube. There's many commentators who, if someone does a stream, they do a show commenting on it. I'm not specifically targeting Mr. Wilcock, or, I'm certainly not obsessed. I've covered many different subjects. So I just want to make sure that we understand the purposes of my broadcasts and my show here is truth seekers, to seek the truth about fantastical claims people make on the internet. I'm within my constitutional rights to do so, and I'm even within my rights to make fun of people, especially if they're public figures and they say ridiculous things like, I take baths in my own piss to get superpowers, and then I use those same superpowers to save Donald Trump from an assassin's bullet. I'm allowed to make fun of that. Comedic parodies are still legal in the United States of America. Nothing that I did has been wrong or malicious, or I've never done anything that I would consider harassing or stalking, or no. Now, I certainly have made phone calls investigating his claims, but he's a public figure. And if he is claiming something, and we'll get into some specific examples about that, I'm allowed to call those people he's making claims that involve those people and fact check him. I've always been kind and courteous. And also, before we begin, I will make a very special announcement today. Mr. Wilcock has also falsely claimed that I called Christopher Beskar, the CEO of Stevati Aerospace, and lied and impersonated someone from the Washington Post. I have been hesitant to discuss this publicly because I don't want to screw up the deal or arrangement that I have, but I'm going to put it on the record. I approached a Washington, D.C. based news organization, and I pitched them two stories. One on the worst, biggest, you could call it a medbed scam that I've ever seen in my entire life, and another story involving David Wilcock and Stevati Aerospace. And so I was sort of accepted as a freelance writer, and my stories would appear with that news organization. That news organization is not the Washington Post. It is the Washington Spectator. And so I have, I have the emails. I have an agreement with them to write these two articles. It's called a spec deal. Look it up, David Wilcock. So I just want to make sure that we understand that, in fairness, maybe Christopher Beskar misheard me and thought I said the Washington Post. I know for a fact that I told him I'm a freelance writer and I'm doing a story that will appear in the Washington Spectator on David Wilcock and Stevati Aerospace. That's how I opened the call immediately after I said hello. I did not say the Washington Post. And any reasonable person would understand I have no reason to lie about my press credentials if I have valid press credentials with, so maybe he misheard me. Washington Post, Washington Spectator. In fairness to him, maybe he misheard me. But Mr. Wilcock is free to take that off his list of lies that he's told about me and apologize to that. I'll show him the written contracts. And also, if anybody has any questions about that arrangement, they could speak to well-known journalist Art Levine, who is a contributor for the Washington Spectator and will be serving as my editor for those two spec pieces. So that's a complete and total lie that Wilcock told about me. And hopefully that one is cleared up. I have no reason to impersonate someone from the Washington Post when I'm writing a spec article for the Washington Spectator about David Wilcock and about Stevati Aerospace. And also what this proves is that Mr. Wilcock is attempting to threaten into silence an investigative journalist. Clearly, if I have a spec deal to write an article about him and Stevati Aerospace, and he's threatening to sue me and get me arrested, that is a form of intimidation and a tactic used to try to silence a critic. Clearly, Mr. Wilcock said multiple times, if he just stops covering me or just stops making videos about me, I will not sue him. That is clearly a threat intended to stomp all over my rights to free speech and freedom of expression. And I, for one, will not stand for it. And by the way, I'm in touch with multiple journalist organizations, all of which are going to help me should this situation get any worse for me. But I think tonight we're going to get to a great deal of the proof about this whole entire situation. But before we begin, I think it's important that we clearly establish another thing. I have a good reputation for telling people the truth. After all, my show is called Truth Seekers. We kind of pride ourselves on doing good research, and we're very fact-based. If we make a mistake, we admit it, and we talk about it. I've made very few factual errors here in my run here. We're known for good research. We're known for very good investigative work. And by the way, a great deal of that investigative work, specifically about David Wilcock and Stavati Aerospace, is in the description of this video or podcast. And one of the things that's very disturbing is that Mr. Wilcock won't address any of my reporting. Instead, he's gone on a public live stream, which I think has gotten 100,000 views now, and told everybody that I'm a Satan worshiper and also a child predator, or heavily implied I was a child predator. Mr. Wilcock, go through my reporting. Tell me where I got a fact wrong. Tell me what is wrong. You're even free to come here and we can have a debate about any of my previous reporting. But you won't do that, will you? Because you're an intellectual weakling and a coward who instead chooses to try to stomp all over my free speech and silence me with threats of getting me arrested. By the way, that's not happening, Mr. Wilcock, and we have the proof of it, and I'm going to broadcast it tonight. So, but before we begin, with what I'm sure many of you have come here for, which is to see this body cam footage of the so-called swatting event. I have an important history lesson. Now, I'm hopeful that this won't take us too long to get through. But Mr. Wilcock has claimed that I'm his only critic on the internet. And by the way, we're going to get into that. He has created a supervillain, and he's put my name and face to that supervillain, which actually is an amalgam of all these different people on the internet that either he considers a troll or a critic or a hater. He has provably combined all these different things that people have done and blamed me for all of it. And we're going to prove it. But before we begin, this is an interesting video. It's quite old. It's called Proof David Wilcock is a Fraud by Truth Be Told. So this kind of busts the notion that he only has one hater. This is a years old video, but it details David Wilcock lying and making false predictions and just straight bullshitting people for decades. This goes back to before the year 2000, and here is the proof of that.
Who is David Wilcock? Prophet? Con man? Douchebag?
By the way,
well, he's probably a douchebag, but let me explain. Ascension2000.com. This was David's first website that he tried to scrub from the internet back in the days when he claimed to be the reincarnation of Edward Casey and was channeling through Raw. He made predictions as far back as 1999.
Yes, before David Wilcock was claiming that he was channeling secret and sacred knowledge from the Archangel Michael, he was claiming he was doing the very same thing from the Egyptian god Ra, but this is back just before the year 2000.
Such as gems like 1998 will bring many of the great awakenings that lead into the Aquarian age. This is being caused by the great cycle of the sun. This great solar cycle is in turn caused by the revolution of the sun through the various spheres of activity in the galaxy.
And by the way, that didn't happen in 1998. So false prediction.
But one of the strangest predictions that Wilcock made was that we would all have Christ-like abilities, the ability to...
This is pre to the year 2000. He claimed that a big event was going to happen, an ascension event, and we would all get superpowers. This is the first time he made that prediction. Then he made the very same prediction again in the year 2000, but slightly different, or 2012, leading up to 2012, but slightly different.
Fast forward and rewind linear time as though it were a video cassette. The ability to fly at will and to manipulate consciousness by thought alone.
Yeah, flying in 1999.
Even in 1999, Wilcox was always claiming something was always on the precipice of happening. Like in
1999, something big is just about to happen. He's always claiming something big is just about to happen, just as he's doing right now.
This message here, The message in this article are of extremely urgent nature as they deal with a series of massive events that are going to unfold in the near future upon our planetary sphere. These events will dramatically, permanently affect every living person on Earth. The key question is what these effects will be and how to prepare yourself to reap the positive benefits of what is about to happen.
And nothing happened that he predicted in 1999. He's
Other
the world's worst
outlandish
psychic.
Claims that Wilcock's claims will happen ranges from San Andreas Fault is soon to disappear altogether.
That never happened.
To other outlandish claims such as buses in Atlanta will be seen to blow up.
Yeah, that never
And who
happened
could
either.
forget the Y2K fiasco. Do all of you have 2 weeks of food ready? Because the
Sound familiar?
virus is getting ready.
Have 2 weeks of food and water ready
David says
for this
here,
big
there
event
will be
coming.
localized disturbances
saying that
from the
same
Y2K
shit
computer
now.
virus. But you are correct in ascertaining that its effects will be cumulative over time rather than a sudden bang up at the turn of the century. This rippling effect in the global economy will, however, lead to economic downturns and changes that are unavoidable. There are pages you can go through that David probably assumed was gone from the internet and scrubbed. But unfortunately,
He doesn't want
we
you to
have a
know
cache
that he
of
did
pages
this
of
before.
lies. You can visit pages where other people decided to channel through David and give us their lies as well. Like in this gem here, if you don't plug into the Ascension part, people will be very upset by what he is offering.
He's saying
He is
Ascension's
saying
coming
that we're
next
going to
year.
uphold
He was
shit
saying
that
it was
is
coming in
acceptable to us.
1999,
That's
friends.
the way the Earth moves.
It never
There is
came.
another opportunity for it to
Nothing
happen
he
in
predicts
October or November
happens.
of this year. But also, if it's a 6.5-year cycle and it adds up to 13, it does loosely add up to the 2012-13 vortex. And you may very well be able to get or take 8 months like that. You are welcome yourself to check all the pages and all the lies that David spits out through all the years.
This video
As
is
you
by
can see,
Truth Be
these are all
Told.
his quotes and nothing
And
is
it's
made up. So
evil.
for the people who think I'm giving him a hard time, check it out yourself. All I'm doing is using his own words against him. If he is who he says he is, and he does predict correctly, and he does tell the truth, then why are there pages and pages of lies, lies, lies?
That's a good point. If he's such a great prophet, why are there pages and pages of false predictions and lies on his original website? All these things that he predicted that never happened.
Other gems that you can research yourself include 2001 magnetic pole shift on Earth, also associated with the dawning second coming of Christ.
In 2001, he predicted a magnetic pole shift that never happened and the second coming of Christ that also never happened.
Or, I don't know whether this will be the big one or just a major quake, but I do know that this is what we're heading into and is truly beyond description. Our bodies will be transformed.
Oh, the light
and as
body
explained in the book,
prediction.
there is full scientific explanation for how, when, and why this will happen. February 1999.
We're all going to get light bodies when the year 2000 hits, but nothing happened.
Lastly, there is again a repeated reference to the upcoming Ascension event here on the planet. We need
Again
to
with the
realize that
Ascension.
this is not speculation, but fact. I have written a comprehensive book called Convergence from a largely scientific standpoint that gives definite proof that this Ascension event is really going to happen.
Yeah, he said the Ascension event was going to happen in the year 2000. Then he said it was going to happen in the year 2012. Now he's saying it's going to happen in 2025. Just keep kicking the can, Mr. Wilcock.
April 1999. And who could forget the first chapter of his book, Convergence? Why do we somehow know that we are indeed about to experience something so fantastic as to be the single greatest moment of all time? We will demonstrate that in the 1999-2000 Ascension Vortex, which is the result of all dimensions in the solar system operating through large, approximately 25,000-year cycles.
He must not be able to do basic math. He's still talking about these 25,000-year cycles, making new predictions. But his 1999 predictions for the year 2000, none of them came true. Yep, that's basically what it amounts to. Yep.
Now let's talk about those books. So if you go to duplychecker.com, you can check to see if any type of text
This is a
has been
plagiarism
plagiarized.
checker for Mr. Wilcock.
Now, I'm not accusing David Wilcock of plagiarizing any type of works. I'm sure he sources everything that he copies, but I took an ordinary book here, as you see. It's just a comprehensive universe, which is done by generic authors. If you come down here and you scroll down and you grab any type of text from the book,
so run a plagiarism checker on his book.
What pop up is 0% if it's an original work of the author.
Yeah, so this is an example.
Now, all I did was go to divinecosmos.com and under the free books highlight, You click on the link, and it should give you free books.
He's a copy and paste artist. Watch what happens.
The Shift of the Ages.
When you copy his work into a plagiarism
And as you
checker.
scroll down and highlight any of the text,
And we see,
paste the text into
what
the box
happens.
and click Check Plagiarism. And as you can see in the results, there's 58% plagiarism, 42% unique. Now, the first part
He copied and pasted 60% of the book.
In the first part of the plagiarized works. It isn't plagiarized, it's just recognizing his own text. But as you scroll down, you can see that there's other texts that are in bulk, that are verbatim copied into his book.
Copy and
If you
paste.
come back and you grab another piece of his book so that you know it's not just one section, you can pretty much grab any part of David Wilcock's books, and they will always show up as 50% at least cited through other works.
Yeah, and he gives the sightings, but who thinks they're paying Wilcock for a book?
We have 53% plagiarism.
He just copied and pasted half of it.
And then below we have the highlighted text. And then on the right, we have the other websites that have the text that he used in his book verbatim in block words. Now, again, I'm not accusing David of plagiarizing any works, but most of his ideas are not his own.
Let's check out some of his previous predictions. This is where it gets great. Remember, he's Earth's greatest prophet.
Is don't stop here. Go back to my website, divinecosmos.com. Look it up. Read all this stuff. This is just a tiny portion of what I've done. Yes, you have to buy the book. It's only $30 retail. You can get it for like $18 on Amazon.
Always pitching.
Yes, divinecosmos.com. David's new website that was created in the hopes of helping you forget about his first website that had all the lies. But don't fret, because
there's plenty of lies on this one. There's plenty of lies on this one.
Right now, it's reached the point where I've heard that the people in the CIA, the Pentagon, and the other agencies are ready to take action against the financial cabal. November 2011. Not satisfied with that one? Well, then what about if you have been following this and certain other websites, then you have already heard the eyewitness testimony suggesting that thousands of conspirators in finance, media, defense, military, corporations, and government are about to be arrested.
The mass arrests. Look at, here's the 2012. He's saying these mass arrests are going to happen this year before November now. He said that stuff already in 2012. He thinks everybody forgets. The internet never forgets, Mr. Wilcock.
April 2012. And then there's gems like the greater story was that something big was about to happen either way. April 2013.
Yeah, something big's always about to happen, according to Wilcock.
The reason I seem to be getting by combining all the data in these very highly intense dreams with the equal intense insider data is something big is about to happen.
Something big's about to happen in 2014 and 2013 and 2012.
Well, what about
every year? Something big's about to happen.
Remarkable high-level briefings about the takedown of the deep state.
Oh, they're taking down the deep state again.
2017.
We're still.
And also, there is widespread agreement among these insider sources that some sort of major visible action against the genocidal globalist entity is now impending. September 2018.
Oh, geez.
So when Gariev transformed those salamander eggs,
I remember the salamander eggs that turn into frogs. It's so stupid.
Zapped it into.
It's so dumb.
I believe that's.
How can people believe this man?
We're moving into this new energy zone.
Here's where he's predicting we're going to get superpowers and Ascension's coming. This is pre-2012.
Increasing the source field vibration, which is
making the same kind of predictions right now.
So we're dealing now with the next wave that's coming in 2009. As we head into 2010, 2011, they're going to start happening every couple months, and then they're going to start happening.
Oh, these big solar events that give us superpowers.
By the time we get to 2012,
we're getting those superpowers. We're getting the superpowers.
It's multiple times.
I can't wait to get superpowers.
Now my readings have told me, for what it's worth, that some of us will be able to have ascended abilities. I mean, full-on ascended abilities prior to the actual shift happening. So that would be very cool.
Don't be embarrassed. You didn't know he was so full of shit. And see,
100 times more
now you know.
Utopian world where things
he's
like
copying
time
Q's
travel,
content. Yes.
Instant telepathy, instant healing, telekinesis are as common and as everyday as breathing.
And that was supposed to happen by 2012. Did anybody get their superpowers in 2012? I must have missed them. I didn't get the superpowers.
The most important year. 2012 is predicted as the year in which whatever the second coming of Christ is supposed to be will happen.
Oh, Jesus is already here
When
then.
does the age of Aquarius come in? 2012. And that's been
2012.
calculated based on constellations in the sky by mainstream astronomers. So look, things are not going to stay the way they are very much longer. The year 2012, if nothing else, represents a bifurcation point, a split between the way that things have been and the way that things are going to be. They were known about long ago, and it's all part of this spontaneous evolution that humanity.
We're going to get superpowers in the year 2012. I must have missed my superpowers.
And would this mean?
Did I get in the wrong line?
Experiencing a rise in its consciousness. That is exactly what I'm suggesting.
That once the truth comes out,
2017,
very likely of these people having been arrested on.
The mass arrests again.
About how that's
every year the mass arrests are coming. David Wilcock says.
And I am not authorized to give all the details.
This is a very different thing. This is not an earth-killing event. This is an earth-birthing event. And they're very clear on that when you read these ancient prophecies.
Oh, the earth is birthing.
That the earth has to go through its worst point. It has to go through the dark night of the soul. And we're having that now. It's very after we go through the worst point, there is this event.
The solar flash. He predicts the solar flash.
Of an overthrow of the deep state.
Oh, look, mass arrests. Mass arrests. The rest of this is just him doing this stupid chant. So there's a history lesson for you. So Mr. Wilcock is claiming that he's going to sue a journalist for reporting on him, and he's going to get a journalist arrested for reporting on him. And these are the kind of things that I've been reporting, that Mr. Wilcock makes all of these prophecies and predictions, and all of them fail. And I don't consider that any form of stalking, harassing, attacking, or violence like he does. I consider it a public service to just let people know the truth. You know, false prophets are prevalent on the internet. And Mr. Wilcock, I believe it can clearly be established, is a false prophet. He has clearly made completely and totally false prophecies over and over and over again. And it's just, it is what it is. And so he's attacking me for reporting things like we just showed you. And you know, it says a lot about Mr. Wilcock that he is willing to, you know, essentially make false claims against a journalist who's covering him critically in order to shut that journalist up. But let me go to my notes here. We have a great deal more to share with you. So it's very important that we establish that reporting on David Wilcock lying or getting predictions wrong constantly to his audience is not stalking. Now, another history lesson is these false arrests. Right now, David Wilcock, mass arrests. Right now, David Wilcock is claiming that big mass arrests are coming before November, and the deep state is being taken down. But these are the same predictions that he made. We just showed you how many times he's made them. But one of the interesting things is that Mr. Wilcock kind of forgets. I believe he's a pathological liar, and we're going to get into that next. And I'm entitled to my belief about that, having observed him lie to his audience and lie to the public over and over and over again constantly. Now, when it comes to these mass arrests, he kind of forgets. Right now, he's predicting mass arrests are coming by November, and an ascension event is coming by 2025, and open contact with angelic extraterrestrial human-like ETs is coming by 2025. These are his current predictions. But when it comes to the mass arrests, he's predicted that over and over and over again, and it's never happened. And he's even lied and said that there was prison ships going to Guantanamo Bay, and the mass arrests already happened. And he forgets that he already predicted the mass arrests happened, or he said they happened. And then there's all these other predictions of the mass arrests that never happened. Here we go.
We are looking at right now tribunals that are allegedly taking place. We have very good intel on this from multiple insider sources that they have arrested right now key people in the deep state. They already have tribunals going on in several locations in the United States and apparently Guantanamo There are prison barges taking
barges.
people to Guantanamo.
Said there was
And what they've
prison
done is
barges.
they have started with the mid-level people who were directly involved in child trafficking. The sealed indictments that we've been hearing so much about are being unsealed.
This is 2019.
People are being put on trial.
Does anybody remember any mass arrests or trials in 2019 or unsealed indictments? I don't.
In secret tribunals. These are military trials. If you've come to this work through my material on the Alliance, and then you're saying, well, okay, David's talking about people being arrested and he's talking about tribunals. How does this relate to the idea of ascension? And I believe the two are fundamentally interconnected because part of it is this concept of the tribunals and the arrests. I believe this is going to happen. I've spoken to multiple people in the Alliance.
It's going to happen in 2019.
That's what's so exciting about the sealed indictments. That's what's so exciting about the idea that tribunals have begun. And I had heard all the way back in 2009 about mass arrests, that there would be tribunals.
There's tribunals.
That the most evil and sadistic people in the world who were doing really horrific stuff, that we're not even going to get into all of it. You've heard me talk about this many times. That those people would be brought to trial.
Every time he talks about it, it doesn't happen.
Actually forced to answer for their crimes, and that they would be then incarcerated, or in some cases actually receive the death penalty.
Gonna kill him.
So things have gone really wild because I've been talking about this since 2009. I had other insiders giving me information about these mass arrests. The 30,000 U.S. soldiers who will spread throughout the entire European region.
So it didn't happen in 2019
with tanks.
And he's predicting it again.
What we're getting from our briefings, folks, is that this is a targeted effort for the mass arrests that I've been telling you about this whole time. That's why they're there. There's 37,000 troops from 18 countries, including the U.S., many U.S. troops.
37,000 troops are going to go do the mass arrests in 2020, except he forgot that he said the mass arrests already happened in 2019, and he predicted they would happen in 2019, but they didn't. Nothing happened.
Better believe those are elite soldiers. They're very trained. What are they doing? They're going to the places where the deep state is. They're infiltrating their strongholds, and they are arresting people. They're not. This is really
anybody remember any arrests?
Interesting moment in our timeline. And I will just point out to you to start with that we have received new briefings.
Oh, we got new briefings about the mass arrest.
Very amazing. So I'm going to cut to the chase, stop
mass
the suspense right off the
coming.
bat, and say
mass arrests
that we have gotten. We heard it years ago, and I had forgotten about this. The briefing is that we are going to get 3 days without internet.
Oh, the 3 days of darkness.
Without telephone.
Which he's also predicting again right now, 4 years later.
We'll be able to
call. It didn't happen in 2020, so he predicts it again in 2024.
Emergency services. You will not be able to use the internet. It will slow to a crawl, or maybe not even.
This never happened when he predicted it in 2020, and now he's predicting it again.
You might be able to get your email. I don't know if
but
you're
he's
going to be able
Earth's
to text
greatest
people
prophet.
or not. But basically, it's
can't remember all of his lies. That's the problem,
George. And that's for 3 days. We have 4 different sources that are telling us this, and one of those 4 sources has 5 different independent sources that told him this. The timing that we're getting on when this is going to happen.
Oh, when's going to happen?
Is anywhere from today or tomorrow.
Oh, 329.
There's another window that suggests, and this is from a State Department source, the latest one that I just got.
Because people from the State Department always talk to this clown on the internet. Sure.
That it could be before, the 3 days could be before Good Friday.
Right before Easter.
But during those 3 days.
Does anybody remember 3 days of darkness in 2020 with no internet and mass arrests?
There's going to be
the
arrest of the bad guys.
Oh, the mass arrests
this is a very wonderful thing.
Oh, the mass arrests.
So that's where you get your sealed indictments from. Now, we have a lot of sealed indictments, and from what we're hearing, during those 3 days, many of these
who's he hearing this from? His imaginary friends?
Indictments will be unsealed, and many people will be arrested. So what do we got ahead in the coming weeks?
2022, same predictions. If they didn't happen in 2019, he predicted them again in 2020. They didn't happen in 2020. he predicted them probably again in 2021, and here he is in 2022 making predictions again.
Probably a blackout, probably
3 days
big,
of
crazy,
darkness?
weird stuff,
Oh yeah.
probably scary stuff. It could get a lot worse. I don't know. I don't know if it's all going to roll up this week. I don't know if it's going to take weeks more after the cabal has been arrested and exposed, which is going to take a while. When we get into the next class, and I'm going to talk about the solar cycles and how that's working.
Yeah, he's so accurate. Buy his course for $333, and he'll tell you more about the mass arrests coming.
It's going to be a couple more years, but the bulk of it, I think, is going to be over before the end of this year. The bulk of the most kinetic stuff, which is why
over by 2020, the end of 2022. Anybody remember mass arrests and unsealed indictments in 2022? Yeah, me neither.
doubt that we have to wait until November to see some really big stuff. I don't even think the election's going to happen. I don't even.
And here is he's making the very same predictions again in 2024.
Think there's going to be an election at that time, because why? Other events are going to supersede that, and you're going to probably see a bunch of people arrested before November 5th. There's going to be a full exposure of the DS. There will be high-level arrests. That almost immediately turn into disclosure.
So there we have it, friends. If you make a prediction and it doesn't happen, just keep making it every year. Maybe eventually it'll happen. So what I'm trying to establish here is that Mr. Wilcock is running around claiming he's going to sue journalists when he has a real credibility issue. I haven't made false predictions over multiple years. I haven't repeated predictions. I haven't sold courses on my predictions. You know, when it comes to credibility, I have a good reputation for telling people the truth, and we can see his reputation and his history. Now, I know that many people are here to see these, to see the body cam footage. So just to be clear, Mr. Wilcock is claiming that I'm getting arrested, that he's suing me because I filed false claims with Boulder County Sheriff's Office. We have shown you I did not file those claims. In fact, I'm such a good reporter and investigator, we tracked down who did make those claims. They've given me on the record statements that they made those complaints to animal welfare. And I've got written on the record statements from the people who actually sent the animal welfare complaints. But before we do that, let me explain something. This is very important to establish that what Mr. Wilcock is doing is he is creating an amalgam of multiple people on the internet, including me, and he is claiming that I am doing everything all of those people are doing. So I think it's important that we first explain that, and I'm going to try my best to explain this. So this is one of the people that he claims is me. It is not me. It's somebody who lives in an entirely different country. His name is Peter, or he's from an entirely different country. This is at Macario Mend on Twitter, who is someone that I think Mr. Wilcock would characterize as a hater or a troll. And he also makes clips of David Wilcock making ridiculous claims, which we, in full disclosure, have used here. That is one person that Mr. Wilcock is claiming Stephen from Canada is. He did one stream attacking that individual, claiming he was Stephen from Canada and he was doing all these horrible things to him. And then we have another person that Mr. Wilcock is claiming is me, which is not me. And here is another person, and that's his real name, Osiris Christensen, who again is from a foreign country. And he is also one of the people who wrote the animal neglect complaints to the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. And I have on the record statements from both of these individuals saying that they are the people who wrote those emails to animal control, not me. And there's one other person, and remember, David Wilcock claimed that this person, this individual, Osiris Christensen, was Stephen from Canada. He doesn't even know who's who in this stories that he's telling. So talk about credibility problems. And then we have a third individual who he is also claiming was Stephen from Canada, and that would be John Christian Spadavaccia, who is a researcher and journalist and is writing a book on Stavati Aerospace. So David Wilcock has made various false claims saying that I, Stephen Cambion, harassed or emailed board members of Stavati. No, I didn't. And just to be clear, Mr. Spadavaccia did not harass anybody, but he did email people that work at Stavati asking questions for his book project, which he is researching. There's no crime in that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's not stalking. That's not harassing. That's doing good research and asking people for comments about a book that he is writing. Mr. Wilcock has also claimed that John Christian Spadavaccia is Stephen from Canada. But we know the latest is that I'm Stephen from Canada. And he claimed that he got the information that Stephen was from Canada from Corey Good. And we all know what a great source of information Corey Good is. So what we have here is that David Wilcock is creating a fake supervillain. And all of these people who he considers online haters, trolls, or harassers of his, including me, I suppose, he has combined into one person who he has called Stephen from Canada. And as I said, just to be clear, he's accused Macario Mend Peter of being Stephen from Canada. Then he accused this Osiris person, Osiris Christensen, of being Stephen from Canada. Then he accused John Christian Spadavaccia of being Stephen from Canada. And finally, he said, it was me. Now, all of these things that people have done, which I don't find any fault with, that's up to Mr. Wilcock, to make his false claims that people are harassing him. Mean tweets, by the way, are not death threats. He's also claimed that there was death threats and that I sent him death threats. He won't show them. Show the death threats, David Wilcock. Mean tweets are not death threats. But just to be clear, he has created an amalgam of all of these different people, and then he's blamed me for everything that those people sent or said or did or tweeted, and this is really wrong. So I asked Osiris Christensen, who is one of the people who gave me an on-the-record statement saying, I am one of the people who sent one of those emails to animal control because he was concerned for the dog based on what Wilcock was saying on his shows. And I asked him, can you answer this question for me? Why did you send the complaint to animal control? Did you have a genuine concern for the dog, or was this some act of revenge or false report you filed? I will read whatever your response is on air. And so let me bring back 1 second. Let me bring back the right one here. So Mr. Christensen has given me an on-the-record statement admitting that he was one of the people that sent one of the animal neglect complaints into the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. And what he told me in response to my question was, and this is a direct quote from him, quote, I sent the complaint out of genuine concern for the dog's welfare. I am a longtime animal lover and activist. I also put nothing in the report that David did not mention himself in his streams. There was no mention of swatting by anyone at any time. Wilcock is lying about all of that, just like he is lying about making lawsuits. David is deflecting and dodging to make himself look better after the fact. So that's an on-the-record statement from one of the people who sent the animal neglect complaints. It's very important to point out that Mr. Wilcock has claimed that I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was small. Mr. Wilcock has claimed that I'm getting arrested for filing false reports with the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. But what we're going to see is that David Wilcock filed false reports with them in this phone call. Mr. Wilcock wasn't aware, but he was being recorded in this call with the animal control officer, and Mr. Wilcock blames me for one of these complaints that this person has admitted to with an on-the-record statement that he sent the complaint out of genuine concern for the animal. Now we have another on-the-record statement from Peter. Peter is another person that Mr. Wilcock has blamed me for his actions. And by the way, I'm not supporting or condoning these people sending these complaints. I'm simply reporting on the fact that David Wilcock falsely claimed that I sent those complaints. I have on the record statements from the people that have actually sent the complaints, and the complaints were not sent by me. One second. Okay, so Peter, who is this person, gave me an on-the-record statement that he was one of the second person that sent the other email to animal control. And I asked him the same question. Why did you send this complaint to animal control about David Wilcock and his dog? And this is a quote from him. He says, quote, actually, I wish that I had sent a report sooner. As we all remember, David started talking about Girlie's condition well over a month ago. When I had made the first clip of him saying that she had black diarrhea and had fallen over, it pissed me off. I can deal with him taking advantage of his followers because they have a choice. But when he started letting a dog suffer, it was upsetting to me. Even then, I didn't do anything. It seemed like every stream he talked about her condition, and I saw others getting upset, even some of his followers. That's when I decided to make the report. Girlie was suffering, and he didn't seem to care. I would do that for any animal. We all heard Wilcock say her condition was so bad, and I don't think it could have been a false report. The things I wrote just repeated what David Wilcock said weekly on his streams about his dog. So there's the proof that I did not send those complaints into animal control at Boulder County Sheriff's Office. We have these on the record statements. These are the people, I tracked them down, who actually sent the complaints. I did not do it. So David Wilcock lied to the police, claiming that I sent those emails under pseudonyms. Those are the people's real names. I have their real names. I have on the record statements proving they sent those emails to animal control. And remember, David Wilcock claims that he was swatted as a result of me, Steve Cambian, sending those emails. He repeated over and over again that he got swatted. I'll play just a short portion of his swatting claims again to remind you he keeps saying that he was swatted.
But there is a very important reason why I'm doing this, because I got swatted by our dear friend Steven. This was the business card that was left on my door on Tuesday, and he then took public credit for swatting me on Wednesday with the police. He actually, that's right, this person who has been stalking me for at least 7 years that we know of, escalated to the point of actually calling in a police hit on me to try to say that I was abusing my dog. And he wrote 2 different emails to them, which is all going to be in the investigation they're doing that's done on Monday. I did get swatted.
So Mr. Wilcock continually claimed that he got swatted. But not only did he claim that he got swatted, he claimed that I got him swatted, which is completely and totally factually inaccurate. I did not send those emails. I've provided more than adequate evidence that we know who sent the emails, and it was not me. But I want to take a moment to recognize that language is important. Mr. Wilcock claimed over and over and over again on his Instagram that he got swatted. Now, one second. Swatted is not in the dictionary, is it? Okay, so according to Google, swatted is a criminal harassment technique that involves making a false report to emergency services to get a SWAT team sent to a victim's location. The term comes from SWAT, which stands for Special Weapons and Tactics, a specialized police unit in the United States. The goal of swatting is to provoke an emergency response from law enforcement against the target victim under false pretenses. For example, a swatter might call 911 and falsely report a violent situation, like a hostage situation or a shooting at the victim's address. So in order to be a swatting, you got to have the SWAT team there. David Wilcock over and over and over again. Now, I'm sure he's going to try to weasel out of this somehow. Over and over and over again said that he was swatted. But before we get to the main event here with this body cam footage, I just want to play this clip about David Wilcock continually claiming that mass arrests are coming.
The people who give me money, they all forgot I did this whole grift before, and nothing I predicted ever happened. So here, I am once again kicking the can and predicting the very same global event again. Anyone want to bet what the odds are that this time all this stuff will happen now? Mass arrests. It's a massive global event, and I've been predicting it since the early 2000s. Now everyone will know I am Earth's greatest prophet and psychic medium. It's about time. 3 days of darkness. Your internet may go out. Phones and cable television channels will all play emergency announcements about the Dark Alliance finally being defeated. Everything I have been saying will happen in the next couple days. It will all happen in the next couple days, if not by next week. If not next week, by next month for sure. And hey, if it doesn't happen next month, then by next year for sure. And you know what? If it doesn't happen next year, I'll just play kick the can and predict this again in a couple years. What a great grift I have. Free money for making false predictions and promoting fake conspiracy theories. Nothing is too nutty for me to promote. Pizzagate, the global cabal, mass arrests, military tribunals. And hey, never forget I told everyone I took baths in my own piss and got superpowers.
Never forget the superpowers, friends. So it's important that we note that Mr. Wilcock claimed over and over and over again that he got swatted. And I just want to also mention that I had to pay for this body cam footage. So we want to take a moment to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors who help to make sure that I have the money to do these things. Rotary Motion with a kind and generous $2 says respect, research, and fact checking, calling out. Yeah. Soil Alpin 900 AD with a kind and generous 10 pounds. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And thank you, Rotary Motion, for being a member as well. And we thank UFO John Doe. Stephen will help you out of the rabbit hole if you let him and you listen. He cuts to the BS and he calls out the lies. Too many of these grifters, frauds, taking advantage of people. Hope all is well. Well, we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. And because of your support, I was able to have the few $100s that it costs to get this footage so that we could share it and establish what really happened. Was David Wilcock really swatted? Anyway, thank you guys for helping me to praise the cash a little bit and recoup some of our expenses. All right. So, and we have Yash with a kind and generous $5 super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. Thanks for helping us praise the cash, you Patreon supporters and channel members as well.
Praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, now to the main event. So David Wilcock continually claimed that I got him swatted. He claimed falsely that I sent in animal neglect complaints, which I did not do. He claimed that he was swatted. Now, remember, in order to be swatted, you need a SWAT team. And now I was fairly sure that he was not swatted. We could read the report and see what happened. I have the report, which I'm going to share as well. But I know many of you are here. I'm sorry for taking so long to get to this part. You want to see what really happened at David Wilcock's house. Now, to be clear, this is public records. This is body cam footage that came directly from the Boulder County Sheriff's Office and the people who actually went to his home. Mr. Wilcock has shared videos of the inside and the outside of his home many, many times. So I don't believe there's any privacy concerns here, especially because these are public records. And also, I'm being forced to share this because Mr. David Wilcock made false claims claiming that I, Stephen Cambion of Truth Seekers, got him swatted at his home. He made those false claims, which forced me to get the body cam footage and show it to all of you. So without any further delay, I want to show you exactly what happened that David Wilcock is calling a swatting. Here we go, friends.
Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's Office, anyone home?
His bedroom sliding glass door is open, screen shut, but there's no one there.
See any dog?
There's a dog bed right here, no dog.
Oh. Will you run and grab tape? Thank you.
Dude, I thought we had a fire in Colorado somewhere. I looked it up. This is all from Canada.
I know. 5 million acres.
5 million?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, because there's
all on fire?
No, there's several burning right now. By grand total, 5 million acres so far this year. Sucks.
Yeah, that's
highly unfortunate.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because that's where America gets like 80% of their wood. It's from Canada, so wood prices are about to skyrocket.
Yep, as if they weren't bad enough. Such is life, I guess.
Yeah, this is a beautiful place.
Yeah, hell of a property.
Making money off his YouTube accounts.
I'm sure he gets some nice gratuity. I don't know what the right word is for ancient aliens.
Well, I mean, he clearly isn't broke.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not thinking about doing that.
That's a great question. Take care. Seven and seven on Devin.
7 and 7.
They have a CR goods call on Ridge.
797-3692-3692.
Copy, thanks. Good. Oh, it's fine. I know, but I already took it off, so it's like, come on.
There's a trail cam at the beginning of this driveway, but there's no other cam. Well, good job making the right turn. I did not make the right turn.
I was, when we saw you make the round trip, and we're like, okay, it's supposed to be like right here.
Yeah. Right now, don't trust me ever on directions. I'll drive around in circles for 3 hours. I don't give a shit. Absolutely. Yep. Oh, don't be sorry. I got shit going on up here right now, so. This was the exciting part of my day so far. Okay. I won't look at it, but okay. I mean, I will, not the whole 4 hours. I do kind of want to see what this guy's all about, though. So yeah, send it to me.
Over and over and over again on his latest 2 live streams, David Wilcock claimed that I got him swatted. As we can clearly see from the body cam footage of the actual event, the only event at David Wilcock's home, there was no SWAT team. There was no men with rifles. There was no body armor, no shields, no busting down of his door. There was, in fact, zero danger to him. What actually happened is they received some animal neglect complaints. They went to speak to him about it. He was not home, and they knocked. He wasn't home, although Mr. Wilcock has claimed that he was sleeping through this event, which I'm here to tell you, if you get swatted, you're not sleeping through it. I believe he said he was sleeping or something like that. Clearly, Mr. Wilcock lied. These are completely and totally false claims. All of his claims of being swatted fall apart under scrutiny. And Mr. Wilcock was so dumb, he didn't realize that there's body cam footage of everything in Boulder County. But I knew that. Well, I didn't know that. I had to check. I checked with Boulder County Sheriff's Department and found out that there was body cam footage of all of these things. And then I had to contact records and get the report. And the report, I have the report here. We'll go through it very quickly. The report just says exactly what happened. That Mr. Wilcock, there were some reports of animal neglect. Here, I will share my screen. Again, these are public records. And I always say this. Mr. Wilcock lied to his audience. He lied and made completely and totally false claims about me, claiming I got him swatted. He used that word over and over again. Our friend Steven got me swatted. No, I didn't. You lied about me. And what's worse about all of this is in the same streams, Mr. David Wilcock claimed that I was a Satan worshiper and a child predator. I happen to have a wife and children, and it's despicable and disgusting that he would make such dangerous claims about a good family man. Not, what do you don't realize the kind of problems that could bring a good family man, even that those allegations that you made with no evidence whatsoever. Now, about the report. I apologize. I made a mistake here. Should have cut off that open with Google Docs. 2 emails from Colorado Humane Society regarding a report of animal abuse, unincorporated. And oh, by the way, he keeps on saying that I'm giving out his address or his phone number. These reports that I received from Boulder County Records Division clearly had his home address, his home telephone number, I think his cell phone number. If I was really being malicious here, would I have taken the time to redact all those things from this report to protect Mr. Wilcock's privacy? There's no maliciousness here. I'm here for the truth. Okay, I reviewed those emails which stated the following. The owner, Mr. Wilcock, was a YouTuber. Over the last month, he has said that his dog is in bad shape. He's no longer eating, falling over, was trying to walk, and possibly bleeding while using the bathroom. He has refused to get her care from a vet, even though people are telling him to get her help. People have even sent him money for her. I believe she is in pain and needs care that he will not give her. And here's the funny part. The submission, the email came from Steve in Canada. And the only contact information provided was an email address. And the German Shepherd appears to be old and clearly dying, as per witnessing the animal of David's video via YouTube. Within the last week, the dog is shaking, whelping, and clearly in extreme pain. The owner, David, claims that the dog is dying. The German Shepherd needs immediate medical intervention. The suffering of the animal is horrendous. The submission was from Robert Crawford, and the only contact information was an email address. So, and this report is by the woman we saw in the body cam footage. I went to David's YouTube channel and watched the latest live stream on his channel. At 7 minutes, 6 seconds into the video, he mentioned that his dog is ill with bloody black diarrhea and that she may not survive the week. At 3 hours and 6 minutes into the video, he again mentions that his dog is dying. This poor woman had to sit through 3 hours of David Wilcock ranting. At no point in the video did I observe the dog or hear it yelp or cry. I responded to both emails with the complaints the video does, asking if the video showed the dog in distress or yelping. I received a response from, and they redacted that one, using a different name than the one on the report submission from Colorado Humane. The name associated with the email was now Arthur Crow. The email stated the following, and I have the second part of the report right here. And these reports, and especially the body cam footage, show that Mr. Wilcock simply lied. Hi, in recent videos, there is little to see this female German Shepherd named Girly. However, David often implicates himself. He regularly talks about the fact that his dog is physically suffering and that he should take her to the vet, but he never does. He has admitted such on several occasions. David describes her condition in many of his videos. He talks about her vomiting, having extreme diarrhea that is black in color, which suggests to me blood. He also describes in his videos that she is shivering in pain. At the very least, his dog needs a fentanyl patch. My views on this matter have not been echoed strongly by many others who have, or have been echoed by many others who have been watching his videos. David Wilcock is a somewhat nefarious character who would use his dog's suffering to garner sympathy donations in the form of YouTube super chats. A visit to his residence by an agent would be appropriate. Okay, so, and the officer goes on to say, I responded to Mr. Wilcock's home with my trainee animal protection officer, this person, and Boulder County Sheriff Deputy Jay Bauer to attempt to contact David and check on the welfare of Girly. No one appeared to be home. I knocked several times and waited several minutes. At no point did I hear the dog inside the residence. I posted a business card to the front door asking David to call me. Later received a call from David, but was unable to answer the phone. He left me a voicemail asking me to text him, as he often doesn't hear his voicemails. I texted him, asked me to call when he had a moment. He called me back a short time later and explained to me the reason for his visit to the residence was to check on the welfare of Girly. David explained that he was famous for his YouTube channel as well as his appearances on Ancient Aliens. David explained was due to his pain. Someone by the name of, they redacted that, not me, began stalking him using the alias Stephen Cambion. David, oh no, I did redact that. David explained that Stephen had a YouTube channel in which uses the alias Stephen Cambion. David stated that Stephen was trying to defame him and that he was faced online harassment from Stephen for the past 10 years. I haven't even had a show for 10 years. David stated that Stephen has also attacked his aerospace company. David explained that due to the long history of issues, he believes that these complaints come from Stephen. This is, David repeatedly expressed concern that Stephen may escalate the nature of his complaints to the sheriff's office in an attempt to further harass him. He stated that he was concerned that it may escalate to Stephen attempting to get SWAT called on David. So he tells the animal control officer that he's afraid that I, Stephen Cambion, I'm going to get him swatted. So which is it? Because you said on your live stream that you already got swatted. How can you be saying both? I don't understand how this works. How is it that Mr. Wilcock can claim in his public live streams that I, Steve Cambion, got him swatted, but he tells the officer, I'm afraid he may get me swatted. But it gets better, friends, because David Wilcock is so dumb. Remember, he's claiming that I'm getting arrested. right? And by the way, let's address that. Mr. Wilcock has continually said that he's getting me arrested, that the Boulder County Sheriff is cooperating with the Philadelphia police, and that they're going to arrest me for filing false complaints. Mr. Wilcock has made incredibly damaging, reputation-destroying, damaging statements about me to the Boulder County Sheriff's Office, while simultaneously claiming that he's going to sue me for slander. And I have recordings of it. But it gets better, because Mr. Wilcock, he doesn't, you know, this guy is not very smart for having a 180 IQ. You know, he claims continually that he got swatted by me. But then he tells the animal control officer he's afraid that I'm going to escalate things, and then he will get swatted. So again, which is it? Now, in regard to Mr. Wilcock claiming that there's a criminal investigation into me, that is not the case. And we know that because I placed a records request for all records relating to my name, my show name, my legal name. And here's the response we got. Good afternoon. In looking at your multiple requests, the only case we have involving Mr. Wilcock is 24-03892. That's the report that I just showed you of the animal neglect, and the body cam footage I showed you relate to that case. And that has already been emailed to you. But here's where it gets interesting. There are no other cases involving the names you gave us. Mr. Wilcock has continually lied on his live stream, claiming that the police are investigating me, Steve Cambion of Truth Seekers, for making false complaints to the police. He claimed that I was going to be arrested. There is no criminal investigation into false complaints concerning this original case. And we know that because I requested all the records with my legal name, with my working name, with my show name, with his address on them. There is no records. And what that means is, that means David Wilcock lied to his audience, not only about me having him swatted, but about there being a criminal investigation into me. There is no criminal investigation. But just to be sure, I still have some friends, a source within the Philadelphia Police Department. I checked in with him. There's no records in the Philadelphia police system about any investigation into me. There's no records of these Boulder County officials contacting the Philadelphia police officials about any of this. Mr. Wilcock bluffed. He lied through his teeth to his audience in order, in my opinion, to garner sympathy and make, they all do this. They all pretend, oh, I'm under attack. I'm getting swatted. We saw what happened. They knocked on his door and they left a card on his door. Nobody got swatted, David Wilcock. You lied about that. And no, the police are not investigating me for filing false reports, which is good, Mr. Wilcock, because I did not file those reports, but I have on the record sources admitting that they filed those reports, so it was not me. How many times have you lied about me while claiming that you're going to sue me for defamation, sue me for slander? But it gets even better, friends, because Mr. Wilcock is so stupid that he does not realize that all calls to the Boulder County Sheriff's Office, including animal control, all calls are logged. So I requested actually it came with the body cam footage, but the call that Mr. Wilcock made to the Boulder County Animal Control Office, that was recorded. And in that recorded call, Mr. Wilcock made an incredible amount of completely and totally easily proven false claims against me. He claimed that I am stalking and harassing him. That's not true. He claimed that I am harassing Stavati board members. I've never emailed any member of Stavati board. He claimed that I lied and said he doesn't have an admiral on his board. I did call Stavati to fact check that and found out there is a vice admiral. But remember, David Wilcock always lies, embellishes, and exaggerates out the wazoo, because in a recent live stream, Mr. Wilcock claimed that there was a general and 2 admirals on the Stavati board. No, there isn't. there is a vice admiral on their board. So yeah, I'm guilty. I called a fact check. He makes all kinds of defamatory, slanderous accusations against me to this Boulder County animal control officer. And Mr. Wilcock is so stupid that I don't think he realized that the call was being recorded, or he would not have made these statements. And again, these are public records. And because David Wilcock made all of these false, slanderous, defamatory accusations against me, I was forced to pay for these records and broadcast them to defend my reputation. I have never done any of the things that Mr. Wilcock is claiming, or he's twisting the facts. A great example is claiming that I called and harassed them about they don't have an admiral on their board. No, I called Mr. Stavati, Mr. Beskar, who's supposed to be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar aerospace company, but he gets their phone. Yeah. And I asked him, is there an admiral on your board? And he goes, yeah, we'll go right to our website. There's this vice admiral. And then I asked Mr. Beskar, I said, well, what about the general and the other admiral that David Wilcock said? Oh, I'm not at liberty to discuss that. I can't discuss that with you. In other words, David Wilcock lied about there being 2 admirals and a general on the Stavati board. And let's talk for a moment about Stavati. All I've ever done, he claims I'm harassing them. All I've ever done is covered his claims about Stavati Aerospace. He's claimed that they're getting multi-million-dollar contracts. Stavati has been caught lying about developing laser weapons for the United States military. They've been caught lying saying they have wind tunnel contracts they don't have. They've been caught lying saying they're going to create all these jobs, and they didn't create one job. And by the way, while we're on that subject, Mr. Wilcock 2 years ago has claimed that they would have a working hovercar prototype. But what we know is from court documents is Stavati Aerospace has no income from the aerospace sector. Their only income is from a garbage dumpster company who apparently rents part of their property to store dumpsters in. It's continually claimed that all these big contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts, are coming to Stavati Aerospace. They've never created any products in 30 years, but they're going to create hover cars with free energy engines, and they're going to create the world's fastest jet fighter. And another stupid claim is he's claiming that they're getting contracts to sell MiG fighters to African countries. That would be completely and totally illegal. You can't sell weapons platforms to a non-NATO country if you're a United States-based company. Look it up. David Wilcock is a pathological liar who lies constantly, and all I've ever done here is fact-check his lies and show people that he lies constantly. And suddenly, Wilcock is lying again, saying he's getting me arrested. Again, we checked for the records. There's no record of any criminal investigation into me. There's no record with my name on it, other than the one that we showed you, the animal neglect complaint. And that record was generated because Mr. Wilcock lied through his teeth to an animal control officer over and over and over again. I don't believe that he realized that this call was being recorded, but I got it, and we're going to play it for you right now.
Hi, Brian. This is David Wilcock.
Hi, how are you?
Well, a little sad. I had to put my dog down yesterday, but what's going on?
I'm so sorry to hear that. So we were reaching out because we got a couple of people that sent us in some emails concerned about your dog Girly, that she wasn't doing too well. So they wanted us to pop in and do a welfare check, but it sounds like I agree, gone ahead and put her to sleep. But we just wanted to follow up on those complaints to check on her welfare.
So I'm a famous person, and I have a
He's
stalker.
famous.
His name is Stephen Cambion.
Okay.
And he has been attacking me for 10 years online and getting ready.
I haven't even had a show for 10 years.
Because he also attacks my aerospace company, Stavati.
I never attacked him. I asked questions.
Way of swatting me. He calls. He's done fake lawsuits from Britain, fake lawsuits from Holland.
I didn't do any of those things.
We told him that we're going to sue him. He called the CEO of my.
By the way, when he says that somebody is sending fake lawsuits, somebody, one of those people that I mentioned that he's blaming me for everything that they do, sent him a cease and desist letter because Mr. Wilcock called them a child predator. a sexual child predator on his live stream. They sent him a legal letter saying that he had to take the video down. They didn't send him a fake lawsuit. They sent him a legal letter because he was slandering them, much like he did me, claiming that they were a child predator on his public live streams.
Aerospace company Chris Beskar and pretended to be the Washington Post. He did that yesterday.
I have already explained that situation. I have a spec deal with the Washington Spectator, Mr. Wilcock, and you can call journalist Art Levine and confirm that if you don't believe me. I have no reason to lie about being with the Washington Post. Maybe your CEO misheard me or misremembered and thought I said the Washington Post. I would never lie about press credentials when I have real ones with the Washington Spectator, not the Post.
And he was all concerned about, the lawsuits that were going to file against him. This guy.
No, David Wilcock claimed that Stavati was going to file lawsuits against me. So I called Stavati's CEO and asked him, is this true? You guys are going to fund lawsuits for David Wilcock's critics now? And he didn't want to talk to me about it.
He's really, really crazy.
Okay. Oh, I'm the crazy one.
So my guess is that because I said that Gurley had this accident, that he is, again, trying to use, he's a psychopath. He's a stalker.
Oh, yeah, I'm a psychopath.
And so it would make sense in his warped mind that he would...
Listen, only a psychopath would accuse somebody of being a sex creeper with children and a Satan worshiper with absolutely no evidence. But he's going to call me a psychopath. Great.
To swap me with the police and say that I was abusing my dog. But no, she had septicemia, and if I hadn't have...
Yeah, see, here he says he's trying to swat me. Does he not understand what a swatting means? He's telling the animal control officer, Chief Campion's going to try to get me swatted. But on his stream, he said he was swatted by me.
Taken her to the vet yesterday and euthanized her. She could have been, she could have gone into convulsions because she had this black diarrhea. I filmed there was like a 15-foot splatter area of diarrhea all over the carpet. She's been degrading for 3 years. But this is part of it. This is going to be part of our lawsuit. It's almost certainly him. So if you could get me those emails, it would really help with the lawsuit.
Notice he said it's almost certainly him, but on his live streams, he didn't say it's almost certainly him or I think it's him. He said it was me. He made vile, disgusting, false claims against me, claiming that I did all these things. Here, talking to the animal control officer, I'm almost certain it's him. No, it wasn't, Mr. Wilcock, and you should apologize to me.
Okay.
I'm almost certain it'll end up facing him.
What I will do is I'll text you a
I'm almost certain it will come back to him. Okay.
Case number that we have where all of this will be documented. And the emails will be included in that. You can then go forward with making a records request with our records unit. And I just have some follow-up questions regarding Gurley, just because I need to dot my I's and cross my T's. You mentioned in your voicemail that your regular veterinarian was Netherland.
Yeah, I took her to Netherland Veterinary Hospital yesterday. They have 2 doctors. I met with Dr. Nate. We debriefed about Gurley for probably an hour before the decision to go ahead with the euthanasia was made. She was diagnosed with degenerative myoplegia, and he didn't really know what the internal bleeding was. It could have been a massive stomach ulcer or something, but of course it's going to lead to septicemia. So.
And you said she had been going downhill for a few years. I'm assuming you had her seen by a veterinarian in that time?
No, I did not.
Okay. Is there any reason?
It was never bad enough to take her to the vet.
Okay.
She just wouldn't get up off the floor, and she'd grown, and she was peeing on the floor a lot. And, she had intermittent pooping and peeing. Sometimes she'd do it, sometimes she wouldn't.
Okay.
But I never felt, I'm a very busy guy. I'm a public figure. I'm always struggling financially. So it never seemed real.
He just said he's always struggling financially. On his latest one of his latest live streams, he mentioned that he makes $10,000 a month on YouTube, and that's not enough. Could you live off of $120,000 a year? What is his Why does he need a millionaire's lifestyle? He can't survive on $120,000 a year.
Feel enough to go take her to the vet until this happened. But when I took her in there, I wasn't 100% sure that we were actually going to carry through with it. That's why we talked for so long.
Okay. And when did she start to go downhill pretty badly?
Well, I mean, this has been a very long process, but I would say that as of maybe 3 months ago, she started to have these farts that smelled really bad. Like
Again with the farts.
When I would have her in my room, I'd have to air out.
Yeah, please hit the like button and share this video. Help us get the truth out.
She was about to die.
Share this
I had
video.
a conversation with my mother on, I guess, Friday, and I still didn't want to put her down. But we had discussed, well, you got to take her to the vet. You got to get a diagnosis because she's smelly farts and she's peeing on the floor and her legs don't work. And on the day that I called my mother, that was the first time that she had fallen while she was walking. I mean, she would fall sometimes on the stairs trying to get upstairs or something, but...
This part about the dog is a little bit boring, but I assure you that it gets so much better with him making all the false claims against me in a short amount of time here.
That day, Friday, was the first time that she had fallen while she was just walking through the house.
Okay.
I was like, oh, man.
And about when did her legs really start to fail? You said that was a few weeks ago. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding the timeline.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was periodic stuff where she would stumble when she was going up the stairs, and that's been happening.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's very sad.
4 months, where it was more often. It would happen occasionally before then, but nothing really that alarming.
Okay.
In the last 3 or 4 months, the myoplegia started to become more obvious. But again, it was just she was going up the stairs and she wasn't getting strongly injured. She just stumbled a little bit. But it was when she fell on Friday while she was walking just in the house that I'm like, oh, shit.
Okay. And about how old was she?
Well, she was a rescue when I lived in L.A., so we don't know her exact age, but she was probably 14.
I agree with that.
So she's getting up there in her years.
You're right.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm quite certain that this is Stephen Candy and Ledoux. This guy, this is really helpful. The fact that he tried to swap me with you guys is really going to help our lawsuit. If I shared with you the amount of incredible malice and violence that this guy has, the incredible number of things he's done.
Violence, asking questions and fact-checking David Wilcock's completely and totally false claims is violence against him, is hatred and violence. Notice how he exaggerates and embellishes everything. This is the same guy who turns mean tweets into death threats, right? This is the same guy who turned somebody leaving a card on his door into swatting. He exaggerates and embellishes everything, which in my opinion is the mark of a pathological liar. They always exaggerate and embellish everything.
Try to hurt me just because I'm a famous person. It will blow your mind. I have no doubt that it will trace back to him. No doubt at all. Okay. Nobody else would do this but him.
All right. Well, I'm really sorry to hear this is all going on.
Swatted already, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Sounds like there's a...
Here he says, I'm actually surprised I haven't been swatted already. Yet on his public live streams, he claimed that I got him swatted already. On his public live streams, he claimed he was swatted. Here he's saying, I'm surprised I wasn't swatted. He didn't get me swatted yet, this guy. I have no desire to harm Mr. Wilcock. My only desire is to inform people and fact check him and show people what he's really about. And it's so funny to me that this guy is supposed to be some truther, right? And his whole world is built on lies.
A whole lot going on in regards to that. How do you spell his name?
Well, his real name, so he has this show online on YouTube called Truth Seekers. And that was the title of a show I was developing with a production company several years ago.
So here he says he was developing my show, Truth Seekers, with a development company several years ago, which is kind of saying that I stole the concept of Truth Seekers from him, which is ridiculous. Maybe I could contact Joe Rupi from the Fringe FM. He's the one who gave me that name. Somebody was calling me Steve Cambion's a terrible skeptic, and Joe Rupi from the Fringe FM said no, he's not a skeptic, he's a truth seeker. He's willing to investigate all the things paranormal, but he's not willing to accept bullshit. So he's not a skeptic, he's a truth seeker. That's where I got that from. I certainly didn't steal it from David Wilcock, but he's telling an animal control officer that I stole the concept of truth seekers from him somehow.
So that's on YouTube, Truth Seekers. So the name he uses on YouTube is Stephen Cambion, spelled Cambien.
He can't even spell my name right. This guy can't even spell my name right, but somehow he's got a 180 IQ, and he's got a mountain of evidence against me. He can't even spell my name right.
And in the course of us doing our harassment and stalking lawsuit, tortious interference with business practices, and he's been acting more and more desperate now that I've mentioned publicly that we're going to be suing him. And as I said, he called the CEO of my aerospace company, Sabati, and pretended that he was the Washington Post.
And again, I've explained that. I never said I was calling from the Washington Post. I said I'm a freelance writer, and I'm writing a piece that will be appearing in the Washington Spectator. I have a written contract with them, or agreement. It's called the Spec Deal. I'll release that to court if necessary, or to Mr. Wilcock, or Mr. Wilcock is free to call well-known investigative journalist Art Levine, who contributes pieces to the Washington Spectator, and verify that I have a spec deal to write an article about him and Stavati Aerospace with the Washington Spectator. I have no reason to lie and say I'm from the Washington Post when I'm writing the piece for the Washington Spectator.
And Chris answered the call, but then found out, okay, this guy's talking about lawsuits and David Wilcock, and it's obviously...
Yeah, he's so famous.
Okay. And so this guy has no limits in what he's trying to do to hurt me. He's been doing, just to give you another piece of context, I have all the evidence that's going to be in a lawsuit.
Yeah, if somebody fact-checking you and proving that you lie to your audience constantly is hurting you, then, you know, I'm sorry, I don't apologize for what we do here. We fact-check people making claims. What he's really saying is I'm hurting his grift, because people are starting to wise up to all of these tactics that he uses, like we've shown you in the beginning of the broadcast. Just keep repeating the same prophetic predictions over and over again and hope people forget that you've already predicted these things. Is that what's hurting you? That I'm peeling back your layers of deception?
He creates like 40 new identities a week on Twitter.
I've put it on the record. I have said I have no alt Twitter accounts, but then I realized I want to make a correction. I do have 2 Twitter accounts. Years ago, while I was considering a career in comedy, never really pursued it, but I started a Twitter account that was something like shit my wife says, because my wife says some funny things, and being married is kind of comical. So I had a Twitter account for a while, and when my wife said something really nasty and sarcastic to me, I would tweet it. Those are the only 2 accounts that I have, at Stephen Cambion, and this other Twitter account, which, by the way, I went looking for. I don't know what email address or phone number it was registered to. Haven't used it in many, many years. I have no alt Twitter accounts, but we did track down who was tweeting those things at him, and it was not me. So here he's lying to the animal control officer, saying that I'm creating all these fake sock accounts. Everybody knows how I feel about sock accounts. I don't believe in using a sock account. If I have something to say to you, I'm going to say it with my name at Stephen Cambion. I have no sock accounts, and he's free to subpoena all my IP records. What Wilcock fails to understand is he's making all these claims. I have a background in computer science. Maybe he doesn't know this. In order to prove in court that I made all those accounts, he has to match them to my internet service provider, my IP number, my computers, my home, or my cabin. He cannot, and he will not, because I never made fake Twitter accounts, and he's blocked me years ago. I can't tweet at him. But here he is lying through his teeth to the animal control officer, slandering me, making false accusations. And again, he's going to claim that mean tweets are death threats.
And he's constantly bombarding my page with just spectacular hatred, which includes death threats. He's actually made I mean, they're not strong death threats, but he said, like, we are going to get you and stuff like this.
Yeah, why won't David Wilcock show those alleged death threats that I made against him? Could it be because they don't exist, or because they're just people tweeting mean stuff at him, like you're a liar and a con artist, or you scam your audience? Like, I've seen people tweeting stuff like that at him. He's blaming me for every mean tweet on Twitter about him, claiming those are my sock accounts. I have no sock puppet accounts.
And they're just the level of malice and hatred and violence in these things that he puts on my Twitter are incredible.
Mean tweets are not violence. It might be hatred, Mr. Wilcock, but that's not violence.
And we've had to take down probably like 6 impersonation accounts just in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I know who was making those fake David Wilcock accounts, and they pissed him off because somebody was making fake David Wilcock accounts, and they would reply to his tweets or to his followers and say things like, I'm so glad Stavati got funded. Now I don't need any more money from you guys. I could just give away my content for free. They were trolling him in a humorous fashion. This was not violence. It was not hatred. It was somebody trolling him that doesn't like him on Twitter. In other words, mean tweets. Those are not death threats, Mr. Wilcock.
Where he uses my name, David Wilcock, but then he misspells it. I have all that evidence as well. There's another one that he just did that I got to take down now, actually. I haven't done that yet. Okay. And so given the fact that I actually had to hire 3 different people just to stop him, because it's like whenever I post on Twitter, he just absolutely bombards it with these fake identities, and the hatred is incredibly violent.
Yeah, the hatred is violent. Mean tweets are not violent, Mr. Wilcock. You may perceive them as such. And you notice that he told this animal control officer that he had to hire 3 people. In his public live stream, he said that he had to hire a team of 8 people. Then he said, I'm not even sure. I think it's 10 people, right? So he doesn't know how many people are working for him to create an echo chamber. And what is he doing with that echo chamber? Why he's blocking everybody, and you're not allowed to tweet anything negative at him or ask him, or question him or inform his followers of anything, is because it's messing up his grift. And so he's hired a bunch of people to delete all the mean tweets so that his followers don't see that, and he doesn't want to see that. But he can't even get straight how many people he hired. To the animal control officer, he's saying he hired 3 people. On his public live stream, he says, I hired 8 people, 10 people. We have the clips, Mr. Wilcock. How many people did you hire? 3, 8, 10? You don't even know. He can't get his facts right. This is another mark of a pathological liar.
He keeps escalating. So I had to hire 3 people. I've got Ridgeline, which is my customer service team.
And listen, who else?
I've got Mike Wiskowski, and I've got Marty Thomas. Okay. So
Mike Wiskowski, he's Corey Good's business partner that runs Corey Good's website. Isn't that nice? Mike Wiskowski, the enabler that helps Corey Good tell his fake secret space stories, is now working for Wilcock, deleting mean tweets. Very, very nice.
Between those 3 people, we're all basically taking the shit down that he posts. But he also has been like calling everybody on my board of directors for the company.
I've never called anybody on the board of directors at Stavati. Just to be clear, I have called the main number to Stavati to ask questions. And one of the questions that I asked, listen, there's nothing wrong in what I'm doing. David Wilcock is claiming all this criminal activity. And here is one great example. One time, David Wilcock claimed that the CEO of Stavati Aerospace, Christopher Beskar, designed spaceships for George Lucas that were in the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. And George Lucas was so happy about that, and he did such a great job that George Lucas named Beskar armor from The Mandalorian after Christopher Beskar. He said that on a public live stream, so I called Christopher Beskar to fact check that. We did it live on the show, and Christopher Beskar basically said that's true. But the problem is that people contacted the writer who never heard of Christopher Beskar. The person who developed the Mandalorian and Beskar armor never heard of Christopher Beskar. And no, I don't believe that Christopher Beskar designed shit for Star Wars. I believe that was a bullshit story that he told David Wilcock. So when he says I called somebody at Stevati, yeah, because you said something wacky and I wanted to fact check you. That's what a journalist does, David Wilcock. He fact checks people he's covering. And that's the ridiculous part of this. David Wilcock thinks that he could say ridiculous things like Beskar armor in the Mandalorian series was named after Stevati Aerospace CEO because he worked for George Lucas. And nobody's allowed to fact check those lies. I did.
He threatens them on the phone.
Never threatened
When I was
anybody.
donating to a sloth rescue in Costa Rica. He
Oh,
called
again with
them,
the sloth
said
rescue.
he was doing an investigation, and then he abused the woman on the phone. He swore out.
Yeah, I don't remember being rude to anybody on the phone ever. When I'm calling to fact check certain things or get information, I have to be nice to people or they won't give me information. And when I get a chance, I'm going to reach out to that woman and get an on-the-record statement from her. Was I nasty to you? Did I say, I hope all those sloths die? Because that's what David Wilcock is claiming, that I called the sloth organization and said, I hope all the sloths die. I didn't say anything like that.
And said, I hope all the sloths die. That was like 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, he is unstoppable, and he brags about it.
And by the way, I was calling that sloth organization because they were listed on David Wilcock's charity page, and I wanted to see if he was giving them any money, and if so, how much. And to the best of my knowledge and recollection, she said they didn't give them any money. They just were helping them get donations by putting them on their website. I was trying to find out what charities David Wilcock is giving the hundreds of thousands of dollars he's collected with his charity, but we were unable to find any charities that he gave the actual money to the best of my recollection when I made those calls. And by the way, if you want to see my investigation into David Wilcock's shady charity, it's in the description of this video or podcast. Let's continue.
On his YouTube, he's done videos that you can watch where he's talking about all the things he's doing to disrupt me and laughing about. So we need to get like a restraining order on him and a cease and desist and injunction, but we're waiting until we actually have our lawsuit.
I don't know. I think I need a cease and desist and injunction against David Wilcock because he's talking to, look, I don't care that it's an animal control officer. It's still a deputy with the Boulder County Sheriff's Office, and he is lying through his teeth clearly to this person.
Ready to go. We're not quite there yet, but this is just going to add to the portfolio of all the stuff he's doing.
Okay.
Incredible.
Well, I'm sorry this is going on. I'll be sure to text you the case number for this.
I agree.
And I'll be documenting our conversation in that case. And if I have any follow-up questions, do you mind if I just reach out to you?
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
I mean, in a way, I'm actually glad that he did this because the more crimes he commits, the better it is. But I'll tell you this.
He's accusing me of crimes to a law enforcement officer.
This is a new level of escalation for him. That probably the next thing he will do, especially after because I haven't publicly announced that we euthanized Gurley yet, but probably the next thing he's going to do is call in a SWAT.
So here he's telling the animal control officer, the next thing Steve Cambion is going to do is call in a SWAT. But on his public live streams, he said over and over again that I already got him swatted. So which is it, David Wilcock? And are you this dumb that you didn't realize this call was being recorded? Are you really this stupid, Mr. 180 IQ?
And say that there's somebody here and that I have a gun and I'm threatening them. So I probably do need to speak to whoever in Boulder County.
Hey, Jeremy.
That he would call, because I would imagine that's going to be his next move. So that I don't get swatted, or that you guys know to be suspicious if somebody calls that in. Or maybe you can help me warn them to expect that somebody might be about to do that. Because this guy is the worst. I mean, I'm friends with Jenny McCarthy.
I'm friends with Jenny McCarthy. Isn't this funny, though? Because on his public live streams, he keeps saying, hey, alien scientists, he keeps saying that I already got him swatted. But here he is, before those public live streams, saying he's afraid that I'm going to get him swatted. So which is it, David Wilcock? Are you afraid that I'm going to get you swatted? That's an irrational fear. You ought to see a therapist about that. I have no desire to do anything like that to you. My only desire is to fact check the wacky things you say and report on the results of my fact checking. That's all I'm here to do. I'm not here to do anything else. Or this is crazy. It was pretty surreal listening to this. Mr. Wilcock just for 22 minutes straight making all these false accusations and claims against me. And by the way, he has no evidence of any of this. But I have evidence that he is making false accusations and false claims.
That somebody might be about to do that, because this guy is the worst. I mean, I'm friends with Jenny McCarthy.
Name drop. Oh, he's friends with Jenny McCarthy.
Brother. And she says they've never seen anything like this in Hollywood history. This guy is the worst we've ever seen.
Okay.
It's incredible what I'm going through with this guy. I wouldn't at all be surprised if he tries to swap me next.
Okay. Well,
I wouldn't at all be surprised if he tries to swat me. He said on 2 public live streams that I already got him swatted. You see the problem with being a liar, Mr. Wilcock? You can't keep your lies straight. And I'm sure he did not think this call was being recorded. And he never thought that people were going to hear all of these false accusations he's making against me. And Mr. Wilcock, you're on a public live stream that was viewed by 100,000 people, telling people that I'm a Satan worshiper and that I'm a child predator, and you're going to sue me for slander and defamation. You're saying all of these things on a recorded call, and you're going to sue me for slander and defamation? Really? Really?
Since I am part of the sheriff's office, I do work pretty closely with the deputies. So I'll just make the Netherland cars aware of what's going on and the allegations, and yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. But do you have any further questions for me while I've got you on the line?
Maybe.
Well, I have a gigantic, overwhelming amount of evidence that I could give you if you need more proof of what I've been telling you.
He gave them no evidence.
If you need any of that, I'm happy to provide it, but you probably don't. I mean,
at this point, I don't think it's necessary.
I have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm famous. And on his streams, I think that he said he gave them all this evidence. He didn't give them any evidence. They did not want it. They didn't want. Did you hear? We don't need that. He didn't give them any evidence. And just to be clear, once again, there is no criminal investigation against me or about these animal neglect complaints being false. I believe that the people who made those complaints believed that the dog was being neglected or was in danger and were concerned for the dog and made the complaints. That doesn't really qualify as false complaints if the people were truly concerned and truly had a genuine concern. But again, he's accusing me of all these crimes, and he's telling people on a public live stream that he's getting me arrested, that I'm getting arrested for all of these accusations he's making against me with absolutely no evidence that they're true.
I'm on Ancient Aliens. I'm in over 100 episodes. It runs all day Friday and Saturday on the channel.
Oh, I'm on Ancient Aliens. I'm famous.
There's people who just really, really hate you and want to hurt you. And this guy just happens to be like the worst anybody's ever seen in Hollywood history. So it obviously
I'm the worst anybody's ever seen.
Anybody else in my audience would have done this but him.
Okay.
What exactly?
It obviously is him, but he doesn't know it's me, but he's still saying it's me. He has no evidence that I made those animal neglect complaints, but he's still telling law enforcement officers that I did this terrible criminal thing to him.
What did the letters say? They said they were worried about the health of my dog or something?
Yeah, here, I'll pull up the email complaints and I can read it to you verbatim.
Yeah, this is going to be a Truth Seekers classic for sure.
A few emails, so
absolutely.
What a jerk. I can't believe he would go that far. But then again, I mean, he keeps escalating more and more and more and more. So it's really scary, actually. I don't know but what he's going to come out here and try to kill me. I mean, it's very frightening. The whole thing is very frightening.
So this says...
Did you hear that? He's afraid I'm going to go there and kill him. Well, let me put your fears to rest, Mr. Wilcock. I have no intentions of hurting you physically or otherwise. I just don't have that kind of violence or malice in my heart towards you. And I'm sorry that you have that irrational fear. And let's be clear, if you're afraid that somebody that is accurately and factually reporting on you is going to hurt you like that, then you need to see a therapist. You really need to see a therapist. But, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. It's just, if you were one of my friends and I was seeing this in one of my friends or family members, I would say, I would find you a therapist. I would find you a psychotherapist to work through these irrational fears that you have.
Here, the German Shepherd appears to be very old and clearly dying, as per witnessing the animal of David's video via YouTube within the last week. The dog is shaking, whelping, and clearly in extreme pain. The owner, David, claims the dog is dying. The German Shepherd needs immediate medical intervention. The suffering of the animal is horrendous.
Yeah, he lied on his public live streams.
Okay, well, that's all
He exaggerated. He embellished.
Early,
That's what pathological liars do.
I haven't put up a video with her in it in months, and that's easily provable by going to my YouTube and my Twitter pages.
Yeah.
This is a completely fabricated fake attack.
Yeah, I'm sure he is watching right now. And he should be afraid. Because I've got a good case here. This is a great case. And he's got a, what has he got? A multi-million-dollar home? And he's doing this shit with no evidence and no proof whatsoever?
Really fast, I couldn't type it all, but
Oh, I apologize.
yeah, it's okay. Shaking, whelping, all that stuff, that's completely false. I've made no videos of her. And so that is somebody who's totally lying to you and fabricating information that I can easily disprove. So I am going to need this for my lawsuit because this is another level of escalation that he's just conducted. It's obviously him. It wouldn't be anybody else.
It's obviously him. Well, we've proven that I'm not the one who made those animal neglect complaints. And he's telling an officer, I need those emails because I'm going to sue Steve Cambion for doing this. I did not do it, to be clear. So, wow, how many false claims can he make to a law enforcement officer? And remember, he said, if you make false claims to the police, you get arrested for that. By his logic, doesn't that mean that he should be investigated or arrested for this? I mean, he said I was getting arrested for making false claims. These are all provably 100% false claims that he's making to a law enforcement officer.
Okay.
Animal control officer,
that was
whatever.
one of the emails we received.
Right, and then he'll make another identity, and he'll either call himself a woman or he'll have some other.
I didn't make another identity.
So you have another one.
Yeah, and both of these emails will be attached to the case file.
Yeah.
The other one is fairly vague, just stating that you mentioned her over the last month on your YouTube, that she's no longer eating, falling over while trying to walk, and possibly bleeding while using the bathroom. States that he has refused to get her care from a vet, even though people are telling him to give her help. People have even sent him money. So.
No, these are all defamatory. This is defamation. These are lies.
Okay.
People repeating the things that he said.
It's not true.
On his live streams.
She always would eat very enthusiastically. She had not fallen over while walking. I mean, I guess that could happen once, and I mentioned that on Sunday. But no, this is Stephen. I'm telling you, it's this one guy. I've got a warehouse of evidence. I've got part of the problem with the lawsuit is
he's got a warehouse of evidence against me, but he didn't give the police any of it, and he hasn't shown his audience any of it. All he's got is false claims and accusations. And we saw on his live stream, he showed tweets of mine from 2018. That's what he's calling evidence. Just like Corey Good called, mean tweets evidence. That's where he's getting his legal advice from.
Done so many things. Like, this is going to be like a 200-page filing,
Yeah.
I mean, how do I even wrangle the fact that the guy posts these attacks on Twitter like 50 or 60 a week? And I photographed them all. And he uses tons and tons of different aliases.
I agree. I don't use any aliases.
He's aggressively trying to destroy me and our company. So this is just his latest creative attempt to send you two different emails. But again, I can easily disprove these things as lies because
there you go.
I never made a video about her. Nobody's ever seen her for months. The last video I had her in was, last year, I think.
Okay.
It's just total defamation and fabricated. I mean, we know who it is. It's a stalker. Yeah. I'm sorry you had to go through this.
Yeah, he didn't have any records like that.
I'm sorry to have, brought this up during a painful time during the loss of your dog, but I sincerely appreciate you giving me a call back and being willing to remain in contact if I have any further questions. And you have my number, so if you have any questions, please let me know. But I'll make sure to get that.
So you said I can do a records request with the case number, and then I can get these emails from there?
Yep, so I will send you the case number as well as the phone number for our records department. this may not be available until probably Monday next
Yeah, I got the records before he did, I believe.
week, because I do need to move forward with just typing out my report and documenting our conversation. And I'll probably just reach out to Netherland Vet to get the record to show that Girlie was euthanized. And that,
Yeah, she is like, get
we
off the
don't have
phone.
to worry about her welfare moving forward. So that tomorrow's my Friday, but I should have my report done.
Yeah, I've been in Hollywood circles for years, Emma
to go
Starr.
through the approval
Sure.
process with records before it's available to the public.
Man, I think I'm being very calm, and I'm not cursing, and I'm not getting angry, but I am very, very angry that he did this. This guy will not leave me alone.
Again, I didn't do
He
it.
started doing this 10 years ago. He does it on a week-by-week basis.
Yeah, I haven't even had a show for that long, David Wilcock. That's a false statement. Completely and totally factually false statement. 10 years? I think the first time I reported on him was 2018. I'd have to check my records, though.
He tried to get people to get me audited by the IRS. I have a
That's not true. I've never tried to get David Wilcock audited by the IRS, but somebody tweeted at David that they were contacting the IRS to have him audited. That was not me. That was another individual.
nonprofit that I donate to animal rescues and stuff. Like I said, the sloth thing. He tried to get, he told people to audit my company.
No, I did. I might have said that your charity should be audited. And you, Mr. Wilcock, are in violation of federal law because you won't file the 990 forms. For those unaware, Mr. Wilcock, I think he still has a charity. And you got to file a form called a 990 every year. He only filed 2, I believe 2018 and 2020. He's missing 2019, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And really, his charity should be on the auto revocation list. If you don't file those forms showing the IRS how much money you collected and what you spend it on, they auto revoke your charity license. That's what I talked about. I never said that he should be audited, though. But maybe it's a good idea considering he spent, what was it, $4,500 on meals and entertainment for him and his wife from charitable donations. He spent $6,000 on software, thousands and thousands of dollars on furniture and equipment and all these other things for a charity that I really can't figure out what charitable work they do other than giving about a nickel on the dollar to other charities, according to his own IRS filings.
He's published my address. He's published my phone number.
I've never published his address. I've never published his phone number. In fact, I went to great pains to redact those things from tonight's broadcast, which I always do. I would never publish somebody's home address. I would never publish somebody's home phone number. Never. I've never done that. That's a factually inaccurate statement.
He wants people to attack me. He's published
No, I don't.
all the names of the people on the board of directors of my aerospace company.
Yeah, I didn't publish the names of the directors. They're on your website. The names of the board members of Stavati Aerospace are on Stavati Aerospace website. And here he is lying to a law enforcement officer saying that I've published all their names. I have published the court documents. And by the way, Stavati Aerospace is being sued by an investor who, in the court documents, called Stavati Aerospace an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme. That's in the court documents. That I showed, but I've never published the names of anybody on Stavati. I've published the court documents. Those are public records. That's not a crime.
He says that we're a fraudulent company. He posed as Washington Post. He said
he's repeating himself. Do you notice that he made the same accusations twice? As if saying it twice, saying a false accusation twice makes it true. I've explained the Washington Post lie. What else did he say there? He said, I said Stavati is a fraudulent company. No, I never said Stavati is a fraudulent company. I said they've never produced a single airplane product or service in their 30-year history. And I have said that they're being sued by their creditors. I have said that the tax breaks and incentives that they got from Niagara were pulled because they never created any jobs. And I have said that a former investor of Stavati sued them and in the court documents called them, accused them of being an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme. I never said that they were a fraudulent company. Facts matter, David Wilcock.
said to my CEO that we don't really have a naval admiral on our board, which we do. His name is Charles William Moore.
Oh, I explained that part. Yeah, Mr. Wilcock said that there was 2 admirals and a general on Stavati's board of directors. So I called Stavati and I said, do you have 2 admirals and a general? And they said, and Christopher Beskar said, well, we have 1 admiral. It's on our website. And he directed me to the website. And I said, well, what about the other admiral and the other general that David Wilcock claims is on your board of directors? Christopher Beskar said, I'm not at liberty to discuss that with you. So this is another lie. Or, you know, he's twisting things terribly to make me look bad.
And he was actually going to become the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but then the DEI stuff, he got butted out of that, and he's working with us. This guy just is unrelenting. He does it every day. He creates about 40 new identities a week.
Do I do a Wilcock show every day? I didn't create false identities.
He's
Violence?
threats. He tells me he's going to get me. And he's filed 2 fake lawsuits against us, which, you know, he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. They don't even look right.
I never filed any
really
lawsuits.
Scared because he knows we're going to sue him.
I'm not scared.
On my show because I've never had
I'm a little angry, but I'm not scared.
And so this is just his next step. So yes, please tell everybody in your office, if David Wilcock gets swatted, it's not real. I don't have anybody here. I mean, you know, I'm not going to be hurting anybody because there's nobody here. But that'll be the next step, is he's going to say, he's going to call up you guys and be screaming and say, oh my God, I'm at David Wilcock's house, I'm being stabbed, or something like that.
So here he is claiming that he's afraid that my next step is going to be to get him swatted. Yet we'll play it again over and over and over again on his live streams. He kept saying that I, Stephen Cambion, got him swatted. We showed you there was no swatting. Now he's lying to this animal control officer, claiming maybe he's not lying. Maybe he really is afraid of that. Oh, Stephen Cambion, the next thing he's going to do is get me swatted. Well, you already said that I did get you swatted. Which is it, David Wilcock? Which one is the truth and which one is a lie? Did you already get swatted? Or did you turn being afraid of getting swatted into I got you swatted, right? He can't keep his facts straight. Another sign of a pathological liar.
That's probably what he'll do next. So please be on the alert for that, okay?
Okay. I'll make sure to let the deputies know that this is a pretty complex and fluid situation and that there's potential for that.
Yeah, I would call it terrorism. He's essentially terrorizing me, and he's trying.
I'm a terrorist.
Hurt me and hurt my life and hurt me in any way that he can, and this is just the next step for him, you know.
Yeah, and
there's no fear.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't speak to the laws outside of the animal realm since I deal primarily with the animal stuff. But I'll make sure that the deputies are aware of the report that was filed and your address. So.
I'm a famous person.
Let them know that there's a very high risk now that he's going to do a fake SWAT and that they might get a call like that.
Oh, I'm going to do it? You said I already did it on your public live streams, David. Why did you lie to your audience saying I got you swatted? When here you're just telling the officer, I'm afraid that that's what he's going to do next. He may be like suffering from some mental illness with these irrational fears.
And please call and text me if he does that so that I can respond without you guys just showing up here with guns. Because that's probably... You know, people do this. They want you to get shot by the police. They're going to make it sound like there's some horrible, violent event happening in my house. But I'll just tell you right now, nobody else lives here but me. I'm alone. Nobody is going to be here. It's just going to be me. So if that happens, it's totally fake, and it's the same guy.
Okay. The deputies will have access to my report, so your phone number will be included in that.
Great.
Is your last name spelled with one L or two?
It's Wilcock.
Okay. And David, what is your date of birth?
People misspell it as COX, but that's not correct.
Okay. So David Wilcock, COCK. What is your date of birth?
March 8th,
I think so, Bagley. Yeah.
Okay. And this is the best phone number to reach you at?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, I think that covers the questions for me. I'll get that case number and the phone number for records sent over to you here shortly. In the meantime, if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I want to get my hand on these emails, but you say that with the records request, once I have the case number as of Monday, we can do that.
Yeah, and I just can't guarantee when it'll be available to the public. The earliest would be next week.
We have such a mountain of evidence against this guy that it's like...
He has a mountain of evidence against me that amounts to tweets from 2018. That amounts to, oh, I wore a mask once, so that means I'm a Satan worshiper. Where's your mountain of evidence, Mr. Wilcock?
He's going to add this to a gigantic body of data, but it really emphasizes that he is continually escalating, and we have to move pretty quickly now to do the restraining order and the injunctions and all that kind of stuff.
By the way, Mr. Wilcock has not gotten a restraining order, an injunction, and I am not under criminal investigation by the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. Records requests confirm that.
This is the next step. The only thing left he's got now is a SWAT call. So I highly expect it will happen.
Oh, he expects I'm going to do it, but he said it already happened.
Like
he said it already happened.
The deputies are aware of what's going on. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rhiannon.
Yep, sorry to call you at a distressing time. Sincerely sorry for the loss of Girly, but I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Rhiannon. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
I'm surprised he let her go. I thought he was going to repeat the same false claims for a third time. He repeated all of his false claims twice. That's another hallmark, in my opinion, of a liar. They're trying to be convincing with repetition, or, so I don't believe that Mr. Wilcock knew that he was being recorded while he was making these false and defamatory statements against me. We have proven that I did not send those animal neglect complaints. We've found who did. They've given us on the record statements stating that they were concerned for the animal, which is why they made the neglect complaints. I'm not going to comment on whether I believe he neglected his dog or not. It's really, judge. I'm not here to judge him. I do know, being a responsible pet owner, whether my dog is sick or not, it goes to the vet twice a year. That's just the way my wife is. Some people don't do that. And I don't really blame him for that. And I do feel bad for him for the loss of his dog. I mentioned previously on a previous broadcast, I once had to put my father's dog down, which is a dog we had for like 16 years. And he was a Malamute Husky, just a big, beautiful wolf-like creature. I love that dog to the depths of my soul. And I couldn't even bring myself to take him to be put to sleep. My brother had to take him. So certainly I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I feel like he is making all these false claims and false accusations against me. But back to Stavati, remember, Mr. Wilcock, I believe that he's a pathological liar. He told everybody they'd have a working prototype and be in production within 5 years. You'll have a working prototype. You'll have a working hover car in your garage. That was 5 years ago, or excuse me, that was 2 years ago when he said they'll have a working prototype in a year. And here's Mark from Falcon Space, who visited the hangar. And also Mark from Falcon Space has an anti-gravity lab. And he paid $333 for David Wilcock's course in anti-gravity and free energy. And both him and Alien Scientist, who you may be familiar with, friend of the show, both him and Alien Scientist essentially said that Wilcock's course was a cobbled together bunch of nonsense. Yes, and I'm receiving multiple messages. I'm going to try to, so please pardon me. But Mark from Falcon Space says his course was complete bullshit. It was him and the Stavati aerospace guy talking nonstop about everything but actual science, engineering, or theory. Like I'd give him a pass if his science was wrong and a D+ for trying. But there wasn't even an attempt to give anything meaningful. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. It was just too boring and too long. And this is a person who has a real anti-gravity lab in New Jersey, right near me.
So we're here in Niagara Falls, New York, at Stavati Aerospace, aka David Wilcock's UFO factory, and as you can see, there's nothing going on. The main entrance is locked. There's nobody there. There's nobody in the parking lot on the side of a semi-busy road, but there's not a single person in the building. And yeah, they're supposed to be in full production right now, and I don't see a single employee there. So, David Wilcock, you're full of shit.
So, there we have it from Mark from Falcon Space, who has a science background and thought that David Wilcock's anti-gravity and free energy course was essentially a scam. It was cobbled together nonsense from all over the internet, nothing original and nothing that worked. Alien Scientist says, facts. Wilcock's $333 anti-gravity course was recycled old stuff like Eric Waite and Sandy Kidd. Yeah, that's what I've heard. And by the way, David Wilcock, Jeremy Rise, the Alien Scientist, has a physics degree, and he said that your course was a cobbled together old nonsense, nothing that worked. But yet you told people, if you take my $333 course, you'll be able to do it too. Has anybody been able to build a free energy device from your course? Has anybody been able to build a working anti-gravity machine from your course? So I guess your course was bullshit. But back to, I have a few more things that I need to share here. 1 second, let me get to my Google Drive. By the way, all of this information I have shared with a number of other show hosts. And they're going to be doing shows about this, Mr. Wilcock. So while my bullhorn may not be bigger than yours, my bullhorn and maybe 10 or 20 or who knows how many more show hosts interested in this story, I'm giving them all the source material. And even though I had to pay for it, I'm giving it to everybody that wants it for free. In fact, there is a Google Drive link. And you know what? I'm going to do this right now before I forget. I'm going to share the Google Drive link with all of the information that I'm sharing tonight on a Google folder. And anybody that wants to can go through and see and use it. Now, there's one other point I wanted to make. David Wilcock is such a pathological liar. In his live stream, Mr. Wilcock claimed that his wife compiled these screenshots of me. And his wife compiled these screenshots in 2018. And these, or 2019, I'm sorry. So anyway, his wife, he claims, compiled these screenshots of me and my tweets years ago. But there's just one problem. David Wilcock lied to his audience again. Because one thing you'll notice when you look at these screenshots that he said that were compiled years ago is that there's a blue check mark next to my name in every one of these screenshots. Well, my friends, I did not get a blue check mark on Twitter until the last week in July. That means that David Wilcock even lied about when the screenshots were taken. Again, just to be clear, I did not have a blue check mark on my Twitter account or X account in 2019 or when he claims that these screenshots were taken. So he's even lying about when he's taking the screenshots. He's claiming that these screenshots were taken years ago, but I didn't have a blue check mark on my Twitter or X account until this last couple of weeks. So he had to take them recently. He lied to his audience. He lies about meaningless things like when screenshots were taken. So is it a big surprise that maybe, just maybe, he would lie about these false accusations? And let's be clear, what this is about is that my fact-checking and investigating his claims is affecting his grift. He used to be able to just say anything he wanted. Nobody would fact-check him. Nobody would check if his claims were real or any of that. And, one other thing I wanted to share as well, this is important. He's calling me a member of the Dark Alliance. Did you know that Corey Good was forced to come to a legal settlement with somebody that he claimed was a member of the Dark Alliance? That would be Alyssa Montalbano, also known as Airy Stone in Conspiracy Land. So Wilcock is calling me a member of this fictional dark alliance. Corey Good says, we apologize for associating her with the cyber-stalking group we dubbed the Dark Alliance, and we retract those public statements as well as the statements regarding her dream visions. We are in the process of removing social media posts on these topics. Corey Good got sued into oblivion and had to take down all of his false and defamatory statements about this person. Yet Wilcock is making the same claims and statements about me, claiming that I'm a member of the Dark Alliance somehow. I'm not. That's a fictional group, just like the Alliance, and it was created by con artist Pete Peterson. So, it's just the lies never end with this guy. Also, proof of David Wilcock's pathological lying. Remember, credibility has some place in a courtroom situation. My credibility is not in question, Mr. Wilcock. Yours is. On a public live stream, David Wilcock claimed that only people that are participating in top secret classified briefings can get these coins. Only people, he said, who are participating in high-level classified or top-secret briefings can get these intel coins. But it turns out that anybody can buy these coins on Amazon. You know how I know? Because we bought them. He lies all the time. David Wilcock, you're going to sue me for telling people the truth? I have a reputation, a good one, for telling people the truth. Your reputation is of being a proven liar. Why did you tell people that you can only get these coins in a top secret or a classified briefing? You can buy them on Amazon or eBay. Anybody can buy them on Amazon or eBay. Now, to be fair to him, he may have just been repeating claims from some stupid sources of his. And let's take a moment and talk about his sources. David Wilcock has repeatedly used problematic, let's just call them problematic sources, like Pete Peterson. Remember that Mr. Wilcock has made a multitude of claims about Pete Peterson, that he worked for Ronald Reagan, that he worked for the Russian equivalent of NASA, that he was an early computer pioneer. None of that is true. And we have a whole report on Mr. Wilcock and his false claims. Pete Peterson claimed that David Wilcock made that Pete Peterson was an early computer pioneer who beat Apple, Commodore, Tandy, Atari, and more to market with the first alphanumeric personal computer to market, brought by major universities and major businesses. We called 10 vintage computer museums. No one ever heard of Pete Peterson, his company, or his personal computer. We talked to early computer pioneer Dave Haney of Commodore and Amiga fame. He never heard of Pete. He's a real early computer pioneer. And Mr. Haney said that there would be magazine articles or a history supporting his claims, and there is not. David Wilcock claimed that Pete Peterson invented a revolutionary central processor that had 40 cores and was 50 times faster than any available evidence. Any other available CPU. But here's the evidence. No evidence of this fictional CPU ever mentioned in any magazine, trade publication, website that covers technology or computers anywhere on the internet. Likely another fake claim. If he beat Intel and AMD and Apple with a CPU like that, he would be a billionaire. Instead, he died penniless and broke. And here, Pete Peterson is using his completely fake, fictionalized biography, which, by the way, his education is completely and totally fake. His college degrees are fake. We checked all that. Here, Pete Peterson is participating in what can only be described as a pump and dump stock scam, in which they use Mr. Peterson's fake biography as an early computer pioneer to pump up the price of a stock, and then they dumped it. And here we go. Claimed degrees in electronics, philosophy, and physics from Golden State University, now known as Stanford University. No record of him at Stanford at all. His educational claims are all fake. Then there was the Pete Peterson GoFundMe, in which they made a multitude of false claims about Mr. Pete Peterson being a former government employee or whistleblower. He never worked for the government, near as I can tell. David Wilcock claimed that he was worked for Ronald Reagan as a science and technology advisor. We checked. if he had, there'd be some record of him in the Ronald Reagan Library. There isn't. Pete Peterson is a complete and total. He is not who he appears to be. 1 second. Let me open this with Google Docs so that I can make it bigger. So David Wilcock uses completely and totally fake government whistleblowers and insiders. That's who he's getting his information from. Now he claims that in one of his latest courses, he claims that Christopher Beskar, who's been running an aerospace company for 30 years but can't show us a single airplane product or service or prototype airplane that he made, he is supposed to be some kind of government insider now. I don't believe that is the case, right? Boy, 1 second. This did not open well. Well, it's enough to say that Pete Peterson is a complete and total fraud. And the Pete Peterson GoFundMe was, I believe, an act of fraud. They lied to everybody. Then, of course, there's David Wilcock's Convergence Pictures LLC. That was another shady business deal that we reported on. We reported on David Wilcock's shady charity. 1 second. Let me check here in my folder. And by the way, like I said, I'm going to be sharing this folder with all other content creators so that people can get the, the full, people can get the truth. Oh, I do have something else to share, which is funny. Does anybody remember the David Wilcock story about the smoke detectors, and it was the worst day of his life and all of that? When getting the records from Boulder County Sheriff's Office, I requested any records at his address or under his name. And I found an interesting one related to the worst day of his life, the smoke detectors. Let's take a moment here to, oh, that's the wrong one. I have two videos. One of them is him calling. He called 911. This guy with a 180 IQ, who is the director of he's the director of exotic technology at what he claims is a big aerospace company. He called 911 to get the fire department to help him change batteries in smoke detectors. So this is how ridiculous and wacky the world of Wilcock gets, right? I'm just going to play a little bit of the smoke detector story, and then I'll play you the 911 call that he made to the Boulder County 911 system. He insisted that the fire department come out and help him change the batteries in his smoke detector, right? And listen, Mr. Wilcock's home is worth millions of dollars. Couldn't he have hired a handyman with a ladder to change the batteries in the smoke detectors? By the way, this is fair use.
I had such a horrible day yesterday in this house. And you have no idea how bad it was. Okay, check this out. I just want to show you something. Both of these smoke alarms, well, we had to rip them out. And the reason why is that when the house was built some 20 years ago, these guys have a terminator cell in them, as it turns out. And so even if you change the battery, it just says, nope, F you, we're too old, we're not going to work anymore, and we're not going to work for you. So I had my smoke alarms go out on me for 2.5 hours as beeping is happening. And then what was so strange was that
Wilcock said this was the worst day of his life. Smoke detectors beeping.
Not only did one of these two things go out where you put the battery back in, it's still beeping, but I also had a separate carbon monoxide detector smoke alarm that I had also unplugged and thrown into a box in the closet.
Yeah, and here he's making fun of he's actually making fun of the fire department people for trying to help him find what was beeping.
That started beeping and dying at exactly the same time as the other smoke alarm did. In my bedroom in the middle of the night, somewhere between 5:30 and 8:30 in the morning yesterday. And by the time I got up, the dog was so traumatized that she had to immediately go outside, and then she had to immediately go outside again. The wind was insane. The cold was insane. And then the next thing you know, I got the fire department here. And
yes, because he called the fire department and he insisted to the 911 operator that Every time he needs to change the batteries in his smoke detectors, he calls the fire department and makes them come and do it. Talk about a rich, entitled slob. You live in a multi-million-dollar house. You can't buy yourself a ladder so you could change a smoke detector battery. And also, remember, he's the director of exotic technology at an aerospace company. He's going to develop anti-gravity engine hover cars with a free energy engine that so you won't even need to put fuel in them, and you could go anywhere. You could even power your house from it. He's going to develop that technology, but he's so dumb he can't change a smoke detector battery by himself. He has to call the fire department and insist that they come to his home and help him.
We could not figure out what.
And we have the 911 call.
Was beeping. It was like there was some kind of time bomb in the house, you know. So we literally, I mean, these guys. I had basically officials in my closet yesterday, ripping through my stuff. The very serious look on his face. Is this what it is? Are you sure that this isn't beeping? I'm like, dude, I got this in Kentucky. Like,
yeah, so he's making fun of the fire department people who came to help him change his smoke detector batteries, right? He's making fun of them throughout this video because they couldn't find the beeping or something, right? These people who came and helped him. And don't the fire department have better things to do than help people with million-dollar houses change batteries in their smoke detectors? But hey, don't let things like that get in the way. And by the way, when I made these record requests, I requested every 911 call, everything from Mr. Wilcock's home. This is one of the things that we found. This is David Wilcock's emergency call to the fire department to help him change smoke detector batteries. Remember, this is the guy with the 180 IQ. This is the guy who's going to develop anti-gravity technology and hover car technology. He's the director of exotic technology at a big aerospace company. And he has to call the fire department to help him stop smoke detectors from beeping because they need batteries.
Dispatch fire.
Hi there. I'm calling because my smoke alarm is beeping loudly every 30 seconds and it's in an inaccessibly high location. It's driving me crazy. I've usually had the fire department come out when these things happen and get the batteries changed, and I wasn't able to find anybody who'd answer the phone until I called this number. So thank you for answering.
Okay. So in the past, what have you done?
So I have a smoke alarm that's beeping every 30 seconds.
Yes.
It makes you want to kill yourself.
And in the past, what have you done?
He wants to kill himself because he can't figure out how to get a smoke detector to stop beeping. The man with the 180, who claimed 180 IQ, which would make him smarter than Einstein, can't figure out how to get a smoke detector's battery changed.
What I've done is called the fire department, and they come, and we use a ladder, and they crawl all the way up there with me spotting them so that it's safe.
Okay.
So you can change the battery.
What is your address?
Oh, and by the way, Mr. Wilcock keeps claiming that I dox him or give out his address or his phone number. Went out of my way to redact his phone number and his address from this recording. This is a 911 call. I believe it's a 911 call or a call to the fire department.
Okay, one moment.
Thank you.
What's your phone number? And your name?
David, and I do have a gate code they should probably have too.
Gate code was redacted as well. It's responsible journalism. But he's saying that I'm such a disgusting, terrible person.
Might be open, might be closed, and that's...
Yeah.
Okay, I will let them know.
Is somebody going to be coming here?
I will tone them out. This isn't something we usually tone out the fire department for.
Yeah, and she tells him this isn't something we usually call out the fire department for. Normally, we tell people to hire a handyman with a ladder to help people in your situation. But Wilcock's going to insist that the fire department has to come and help him with this emergency at his house, remembering that he's got $1 million home. He can't afford a handyman to come and help him. He's got to get the fire department. What if there's a fire somewhere and they're busy helping Wilcock? with smoke detector alarms. Isn't that irresponsible, especially of a spiritual guru? Shouldn't he be, this is so ridiculous.
So,
Well, I have no other way to fix it, and it is a very, very intense, bad situation with how noisy it is and how frequent it's beeping. I can't even live in my house like this.
I can't live in my house. I can't live in my $1 million house. It's
when
beeping.
people usually call with these, we ask that they call like a handyman or someone else.
Call him, and pal. He insists.
Well, this is the third time I've called the fire department. You guys never had any issue with it before or told me that it was a problem. It's the first time anybody's given me pushback.
Okay. All right. I'll tell them out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and Area 503 says, what a douche, wasting firefighters' time and resources because he doesn't want to pay a few bucks to replace his 20-year-old smoke detectors. Well, we don't know how old they are, but I think it's so funny that this guy claims that he's going to develop anti-gravity and free energy technology, and he can't change a battery in a smoke detector. And I get it. He says it's in a really high place. So you buy a ladder, dude. You buy a ladder. Area 503, I have really high ceilings in my living room in this home. And when we moved here, I went, oh man, I'm going to have to buy a really big ladder because I didn't have one big enough to, and the ceilings needed to be painted. So I bought a ladder. I didn't call the fire department. It's just so ridiculous. But this is the wacky world of Wilcock, where you live in $1 million home. You're the director of exotic technology at an aerospace company, but somehow you can't figure out how to change the battery in a smoke detector, right? It's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, I have more information in this folder, including how much money David Wilcock spent from his charitable donations. That's his 990 forms. But I think we've covered enough for one stream. This is what David Wilcock is claiming was a swatting. He is claiming that he was swatted because an animal control officer knocked, there was no answer, and then left a business card taped to his door saying, please call me. He lied to everyone, claiming that he was swatted. We want to take a moment to thank some kind and generous benefactors. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. Yash with a kind and generous $5 super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. We're a viewer-supported show. And to be very honest with you, this David Wilcock making these false claims against me has cost me hundreds of dollars, because not only did I have to pay, I can't remember how much it was, $100 or $200 for these Boulder County records, which I am sharing with the public so that the people can know the truth of David Wilcock's so-called swatting event. But I also had to pay Spooky to help me with the editing and redactions for this broadcast. So thanks to Spooky. I don't believe in, sometimes people offer to volunteer, but I knew it was a big job. So I asked for Spooky's help and got that help. But I have to pay Spooky for Spooky's time because Spooky's a very talented video editor, much more talented than me. I'm not going to expect Spooky to do that for free. So all of this cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I have a question for David Wilcock. Are you going to give me my money back that I had to spend to defend myself against your false and defamatory claims against me on public live streams? Are you going to give me my money back and apologize? I shouldn't have had to spend that money. I could have bought other things for our show here. Right? I could have went on a road trip for the show and covered some, convention or conference. I could have bought some new microphones or new cameras or new lighting or new set equipment or whatever. But no, I had to waste my show's resources so that I could prove that you lied to your audience. But thank you, Yash. All right. And we thank Legal Eagle with the kind and generous $15 super chat. And thank you for being a member, and thanks for putting a smile on my face, because Legal Eagle, longtime show supporter, said David was squatted. That's right, and thank you for helping us praise the cat.
Praise the cash.
All right, and now we have Elise de Avalon, who's a longtime show supporter, and I have a treasure trove of Stephen Greer material still to get to. Elise D'Avalon with a kind and generous $7.99 Australian says, keep up the good work. Well, keep up the support, and thank you for your help getting that Stephen Greer material. And thank you for helping us too.
Raise the cash, raise the cash.
Quick on the draw there. Thank you for helping us to praise the cash. And we want to thank Chet for a kind and generous $10. Says, Stephen, Langley is grateful for your hard work and dedication to the company. Management is pleased. Yes, and that's, of course, as a joke about the CIA, which is headquartered in Langley. Mr. Wilcock and other people, well, I don't know about Wilcock, but other people have claimed that I'm a CIA disinformation agent. Yet all of my reporting is completely factual and accurate. And one of the reasons you know that my work is factual and accurate is, let's take tonight, for example. Anybody can go over all the evidence that I have shown you tonight and find the same evidence. That's the hallmark of a good researcher. But thank you, Chet, and thanks for putting a smile on my face.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and we have UFO John Doe with another one, longtime show supporter, stayed away last 6 months from all the UFO circle jerking. Question for you, has Grush provided any evidence? Has Nat produced element 115? Has Coulthard shared where the giant UFO is located? Well, that is a great point, and no, there's still no evidence, but thank you very much for helping us and being a longtime show supporter. Good to see you, UFO John Doe. We missed you, especially when you're helping us praise the cash, buddy.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and we've got one more. If you've got any more super chats, please get them in because we'll be wrapping up the broadcast soon. Keep up the great work, Steven, says Tommy T with a kind and generous $9.99. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And, of course, for helping us to praise the cash. We also want to take a moment to thank all of you kind and generous Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. Thanks, all of you. We're a viewer-supported show. And thank God that we have the support that we do, because when I needed this couple $100 to defend our show, and to be honest, to defend my reputation against these completely fake allegations being made by David Wilcock, the money was there in the till. But honestly, I'm cheap about spending the show's money on anything. I didn't want to, but I'm glad it was there thanks to all of you. Thank you all. We're a viewer-supported show. In the description of the video is instructions for how to help. You could send a PayPal pledge. You can buy me a coffee. You could send a super chat. And remember, after the show, just hit the thanks button and you can throw a couple bucks in our hat. We appreciate all you, and thank you all for appreciating us.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right. Well, we thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. And I want to thank all the viewers. Today was one of our most attended shows in a long time. Mr. Wilcock is claiming that is one more issue that I do want to address. Mr. Wilcock claimed he went out of his way to throw digs at me. You know, like he showed tweets from 2018 or 2019 of mine, and he made claims like nobody is listening to him, nobody pays attention to him, nobody is watching him. So he does this stuff, but nobody is watching. You know, that's not the case. You know, he was very selective in trying to insult me or imply that nobody is watching me. Because just on Twitter alone, we just had a video about Mr. Wilcock and his false claims. I think it got 10,000 views, right? I think it got 10,000 views. I'm trying to locate that. And also, I want to take a moment to put on the record, you guys know this, but Mr. Wilcock claimed that I issued death threats to him at a time that I was at the cabin, and my phone log clearly shows I only had 2 interactions with the internet, and that was posting pictures of my son catching fish. So, you know, it's just ridiculous that I have to defend myself against these accusations. I was fishing with my son at a time that David Wilcock claims that I was issuing 40 death threats in a 15-minute period. Could have been me, and my internet logs will will verify that. I'm trying to find this video. You know, maybe it's better that I don't. Does it really matter that Mr. Wilcock is making these false claims? Nobody's watching me. I can't find it right at the moment. But just one video about Mr. Wilcock on Twitter alone got 10,000 views. And that was the video in which I said something like, did anybody else have David Wilcock calling you a Satan worshiper and a child predator on their 2024 bingo card? And then I posted a video of his false claims. 10,000 views. The last stream that we did, 4,000 views. Now, granted, okay, Wilcock, you get a lot more views than me, but you get your views by lying to people. I get my views by telling people the truth. And, I'm not going to apologize. The truth is boring. You lie to people about all this fake Q nonsense. Of course, people are going to tune in, right? And I'm trying to check in then, and we'll go over. I thought I had some more things to share, but yeah. So where do we go from here? Where we go from here is that I will vigorously defend myself and my show's reputation against some clown making completely and totally provably false accusations. And here's another one that I just want to share. Mr. Wilcock lied to everybody, claiming that I was subject to some sort of emergency junction, and he claimed that I was getting arrested by the Boulder police, or they were going to cooperate with the Philadelphia police to have me arrested. He claimed that I was under investigation. Well, we showed you that that is not the case. There is no records in Boulder with my name on them. If there was an actual investigation, there would be a report of that investigation. There is no investigation. The Boulder County Police are not investigating me. He embellished, he exaggerated, or he just straight lied. In looking at your multiple requests, the only case I have involving Mr. Wilcock is this case, and that has already been emailed to you. There are no other cases involving the names you gave us. I gave them my legal name, my working name, my company name, my show name. There's no investigation. There's no criminal investigation, David Wilcock. So you claiming to get arrested was a lie. You claiming that I made these animal neglect complaints, that was a lie. You claiming I lied and said I was with the Washington Post, that was a lie. You claiming that I issued all these death threats against you on June 29th between 4:45 and 5 p.m. I showed on my Twitter. I was fishing with my son during that time. I made 2 posts to the internet all day. I turned my phone off, or I put my phone in airplane mode while I'm at the cabin. My internet logs will prove that I couldn't have been the person that issued your so-called death threats. And by the way, why won't he show the death threats? Could it be because they don't exist? Or because they're just mean tweets that he exaggerates and embellished into actual, threats of violence against him? Remember, this is the same man who claimed that there were bomb threats called into contact in the desert, and all this increased security, and the hotel had to get more security guards. We fact-checked that. That was all lies. There was no bomb threats called into contact in the desert when he was a speaker. He claimed that he was under immense threat. You know what it was? There was one of his critics sitting in the audience as he gave his talk. And he exaggerated that into bomb threats, into there's increased security. There's all these they needed all these extra police because I was speaking here. He's clearly a very paranoid and delusional man. And, if there's anybody that is his friend or family member, get this man some mental help, because he is clearly unhinged and unstable. After all, he's telling people that he's talking to angels, and the angels are telling him to take baths in his own piss to get superpowers. And then he used those superpowers to save Donald Trump from an assassin's bullet with his telekinetic superpowers. Clearly, this man needs help. And honestly, you know, as I said in the beginning of the broadcast, I don't bear any ill will against him. I don't hate David Wilcock. I hate that he lies to people like this for a living. And here's why. I am somewhat spiritual, believe it or not. And one of the things that I think about a lot is God-given talents. All of us, every single one of us. Think about all the people you know, friends, family, relatives, neighbors. Don't you know some people in your life that have incredible talents or abilities that you don't have or that you wish you had? Don't you know people in your life that are just very gifted at some things? David Wilcock is very gifted as a bullshitter, but look at what he uses it for. He uses it to make up lies and pretend that he has real secret or sacred knowledge, and you can buy it from him for $333. I have said it previously that I believe all of us are given God-given talents and gifts, and we are our best selves when we are using those gifts for the betterment of our communities and others. David Wilcock, despite all of my feelings about this event where he made all these false accusations, despite my initial anger, David Wilcock is a child of God that I will pray for. I will pray that he finds a road to redemption and finds something better to do with his God-given talents than lie to people, make up false prophecies, make up false information, use ridiculous fake sources claiming they're government insiders. I wish all men a road to redemption, even David Wilcock. And by the way, now that I'm over my initial anger about all these false accusations, I'm going to try my very best to do the Christian thing. First of all, I'm going to turn the page on this part of our show history. And I am going to try my very best to do the Christian thing and turn the other cheek. Now, many people have told me that I got to file a criminal complaint against him for making all these false allegations against me, or that I could do that. I have gotten legal advice. By the way, I have a lawyer in my family. It's not really his area of expertise, but he looked at this situation and decided that I have a great case that could be brought. So there's a lot of aggressive, angry things that I could do if I was somebody who wanted to seek revenge on David Wilcock. But my revenge is the truth. My revenge is people knowing that he lied through his teeth about me. Wilcock has to decide what he's going to do next. Is he going to double down on all of these lies and false accusations? Or is he going to do what a real spiritual guru, a real godly man would do, and just say, hey, I got this wrong. I apologize for what I said. I had inaccurate information, or I didn't understand the situation. I conflated all these people into thinking it was all this guy. And I know what it is. Wilcock has an irrational, in my opinion, he has an irrational psychological fear of me because I was the one who published those Corey Good depositions and essentially ended Corey Good's grift, in my opinion. So he thinks I'm the big bad guy that's going to end his money train. And that may be the case, but I have done nothing that I've done out of malice or, you know, there's nothing in my heart that wants to harm this man. I just wish that he would use his God-given talents to do something better for the world than lie to people and take their money on false information, disinformation, misinformation, false prophecies, false claims of talking to angels. You know, he said complimentary things about me. Oh, well, the guy's funny. He's an affable guy or something. You know, there's, despite the fact that I think that he really is a bottom-feeding grifter that takes advantage of people, he's a child of God and he has God-given talents. I don't hate the guy. I hate that he lied about me. I certainly hate that he claimed that I was a Satan worshiper when that's not the case. I certainly hate that he heavily implied or all but said that I was a child predator. After all, I have children of my own. I also volunteer for children's charities, and I'm planning to do more of that in the future. You know, I hate that he has done this, but I don't hate him, and I don't wish him ill will. I don't wish Stevati Aerospace ill will, but the truth is the truth, and that's what we give people here. So I'll take some comments and questions. Oh, and by the way, so I got off in the weeds here. I'm going to try to do the Christian thing and just forgive him for what he did. But Mr. Wilcock has made repeated threats in an attempt to silence me, to stop me from fact-checking him, to stop me from peeling back these layers of deception and showing people his history of these false promises over and over and over again, and these grandiose prophetic visions he had that never pan out. He's essentially threatened me multiple times, saying, just stop covering me, Stephen, and I won't sue you. And I'm not going to bow to that kind of pressure. I will do what I think is in the best interest of my show and of the community. And certainly that is fact-checking somebody like him who's making, and here's the ridiculous thing. He keeps making all these grandiose claims, and he thinks that he's just allowed to do that. And people aren't allowed to be critical of him because somehow he's Earth's greatest prophet, and how dare you? It's not the way the world works. You know, there are people who make videos about pop stars that they think suck and can't sing and use auto-tune and whatever. When you're a public figure, you have to deal with that. And by the way, I've had my own detractors here making hit piece videos on me, and they were hit pieces. He doesn't have the right to silence someone's free speech. Only an intellectual weakling and a coward whose information is so wrong, so false, and so lacking in any value would take this route and actively try to silence a reporter who is fact-checking the things that they say, or fact-checking the things that they say about their company, or, hey, covering that Stevati Aerospace is getting sued by investors, sued by creditors. Only an intellectual weakling and a coward would try to silence somebody fact-checking their false claims. He's terrified. I mean, what if he has to get a real job? Imagine that. Like, imagine the horror. And while Wilcock is complaining that he's making $10,000 a month and that's not enough for him to survive, you know, shows like mine get by on 10% of that. And we do okay. We take our pennies and we roll on. But I don't have to wake up every day and look in the mirror and say, you have to lie again about these mass arrests in order to make some money here. You have to lie about talking to angels again. Mr. Wilcock must live a hellish, hellish existence, because every day that he wakes up, he has to look in the mirror and say to himself, you got to make up more lies. You've got to find more fake shit to talk about to keep the money rolling in. That is a hellish existence I wouldn't wish on anybody. And I will pray for him. And as the godly man I am, and proof that I'm not a Satanist, because a Satanist would go full force on this guy and take revenge. That's what a Satanist or Luciferian would do. I'm not going to do that. I am going to pray that David Wilcock finds a road to redemption and stops lying to people for a living. And I'm going to turn the other cheek and I'm going to forgive him. But I'm not going to forget this. I forgive, but I won't forget. It's important to forgive, but don't forget those people. You know, there have been some people in my life that have really wronged me like he wronged me. Yeah, how lonely and sad this man must be. So there have been a few people in my life that are no longer in my life who have really hurt me and wronged me and stabbed me in the back or whatever happened. And I forgive them, but I don't forget. And I just cut them out of my life like a cancer so that they can't do something like that to me again. Now, in the case of Wilcock, I may continue to cover him, so can't do that, but I can forgive him. But I'm not going to forget what he did. and I'm going to remind people, and people are going to remember, Mr. Wilcock claimed that I got him swatted. Tonight, we've shown you the video. There was no swatting. They knocked. Nobody answered. They left a card on his door. They were very polite and nice. That's not a swatting. A swatting is when there's a SWAT team and they bust your door in and they point guns at you and, you know, arrest you or something. None of that happened. And Mr. Wilcock can't get his story straight. He's saying on his public live stream that I got him swatted. We've shown you the phone call with the animal control officer in which he says he's scared I'm going to get him swatted. So which is it? He can't keep his lies straight, which is another sign of a pathological liar. Mostly, I think Mr. Wilcock needs help, and he must live a very sad and lonely life sitting around a multi-million-dollar mansion by himself with nobody to share that with probably nobody to talk to. He's mentioned he doesn't have anybody he can trust. So, you know, despite everything else, I truly feel sorry for this guy. What a hellish existence to have to lie to people every day. He's by himself. His wife left him. He has nobody, no friends or family he can trust, apparently. And he even lost his dog, which he turned into theater for his Dumb as Rocks audience and to, you know, get donations, I guess, as people said, for sympathy. It's just terrible what happened to him. So we're going to take a couple of comments and questions from the live chat before we bounce on out of here. He needs help, but he's not going to seek it. He's too dense. Yeah. He claimed you stole the name Truth Seekers. Yeah. I mean, there's an English comedy called Truth Seekers as well. And you know what's funny is that came out right after I started my show. A few months after I started my show. I was so pissed because anytime you Google Truth Seekers, you got that English comedy. You didn't get me. But now I think we beat them in the search rankings. We certainly beat them on YouTube. If you put Truth Seekers one word in the YouTube search bar, the first thing that comes up is me. By the way, that reminds me, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Like and comment this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live broadcast. Tonight has been a banger of a special report. I want to thank Spooky for help with the editing and all of Team Truth Seekers for their support. We've had a lot of support. Talmud says, great show, Stephen. Thank you. Special cranberry sauce. I don't know what that's about. Does he really believe that you're the only person who think that he is batshit? Yeah, he thinks I'm his only critic on the entire internet. That's what he has said publicly. He's got his action figures. Was it Barbies? Yeah, yeah. You can hear the sick desperation in his fake laughter when performing his comedy acts. Yeah. Cobra says, I think you changed my life, man. This has been unreal. I feel hatred now, bro. You really are a godsend. Thank you, Cobra 3015, who says he has been waiting for years for somebody to prove these things that I'm proving about Wilcock. If only his followers would come over and watch the truth unfold on this channel. Well, invite them. And by the way, I'm certainly not encouraging anybody to reply bomb or anything. But if David Wilcock has not blocked you on Twitter or his YouTube channel, you can copy and paste this video to any of his stuff. You know, like you would just put it as a reply, and maybe some of his followers will see it. I hope people who follow his streams tuned into this broadcast tonight. Well, we had great attendance, and there was a lot of new names in the chat. David could find redemption if he would be honest and expose the UFO Cosmic Con shuffle, and it'd probably make him a lot of money. Yeah, what if he turned on Corey Good and told the whole story? You know, and that's another thing. This man is claiming that he's going to take me to court and sue me. We're going to bring in everything if that happens. The fact that he spent 5 years telling everybody about secret space program that didn't exist with a secret space astronaut that later admitted under oath he'd never even been to space. He spent 5 years of his life selling stories that Corey Good admitted were part or fiction, you know. Then he's got these fake whistleblowers like Emery Smith and Pete Peterson. This guy's got a history of lying to people, and he thinks he's going to take me to court and that's going to work out for him, especially when I'm the guy exposing all of his lies. It's not going to work out. The best he can do now is confess and start exposing grifters like him, and his followers will still donate to him. He could become even bigger than before. Maybe. The deposition under oath would be the end of his grifting career. Yeah, I mean, if he does take this to a legal arena, and by the way, Aaron, I'm also going to subpoena all 10 of the people he claims works for him. I need their names. We're going to subpoena them and have them testify. Then I'm going to testify and ask his wife how she took screenshots of my Twitter in 2019 or 2020 that had a check mark that wasn't there in 2019 or 2020. Then we're going to ask his wife about who spent all the money for the charity. Was that David or you or both of you? Where did all the money go? It's not going to go good for him. I still have an account that he hasn't blocked. I'll share the show and phone calls. Great. If he did flip and told what was going on through his connections, he would be almost heroic. Yeah. Truth Seekers is broadcasting those. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Truth Seekers broadcasting those depositions ended Corey Good's career. His last live stream, he only had 245 live viewers. I watched it live. And I don't mean like that was at the beginning of the stream. That was the total. That was like the highest, I think. I could be wrong, but I think that Corey Good's influence is over. He just wants George Knapp's spot on Coast to Coast, the new Art Bell. Yeah. Me too, Ghost. I'm with you. Yeah. So listen, I'm going to take down my fair use banner. We've done our due diligence. I've tried my very best to hold my composure. You know, there was another time not so long ago when I would have yelled and screamed at this guy through this entire thing. But I really am proud of myself for not getting angry or upset. I'm kind of over the injustice, right? You know, when somebody does something like call you a Satan worshiper and a pedophile on a live stream to 100,000 people, well, there wasn't 100,000 watching, but it got 100,000 views, you're going to get angry. But I've kind of dealt with it. You know, I've been meditating, and I'm not going to let something like this disrupt the zen of my life, right? I've got too many things more important to worry about, like my children home with me all day, trying to be a good stay-at-home dad and also run a business from home. It's a challenge. It's a nightmare. And I'm not going to let some idiot like Mr. Wilcock ruin that for me or ruin my good mood. And to be honest with you, this did I don't recommend that you have something like this happen to you, because it will fry your brain a little bit. It was surreal, right? But I think I'm over it. Like I said, I'm going to try to turn the other cheek and forgive him, but I'm not going to forget this, and I'm not going to let people forget what he did to me. But I'll turn the other cheek. I'll forgive him. He really should do what a real man would do. And, you know, look, just say, hey, I got it wrong. It wasn't Steve Cambion that did all these things. He proved it on his show. And I'm sorry for making false accusations against him. And by the way, if any of my reporting is inaccurate, he's free to prove that. Show me where I got a fact wrong, Mr. Wilcock, and I will correct the record. He hasn't done that. He simply decided to go ad hominem and make up false claims about me being a Satan worshiper. Oh, I forgot about that. I almost forgot. There was so much to share tonight that I almost forgot. Spooky has shared Spooky had shared with me a graphic. Mr. Wilcock's only proof that I was a Satan worshiper is that I once wore a devil mask. But the record will reflect that on this show, I have appeared as many different characters. Thanks to Spooky for putting this together. There's David Wilcock. There's Crazy Carrie Cassidy. There's Jeremy Connor Lockerbie Cowbell. There's Nick Pope. There's Grifton. There's Lou Lizelotto. There's Nick Pope. There's Dr. Stephen Greed. And there's the character UFO Lucifer. So I've played all these different characters on my show. I think that shows a lot of talent. And, you know, we made all the masks and customized them, at least some of them. for him to suggest that I'm a Satan worshiper because I once wore a mask on my show where we do comedic parodies, and by the way, Spooky said parody, an imitation of the style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with a deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. So somehow David Wilcock turned me wearing a mask into I'm a Satan worshiper. It's not the case, and I strongly deny that. I'm a good family man. I was raised Catholic. I consider myself non-denominational Christian right now. So there we have it, friends. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And again, thanks, Spooky, for helping putting together this broadcast, which was very difficult considering the number of things that we had to share and put on the record. But we did. We put those things on the record, and to be honest, I'm glad that this is behind me. All week I've been trying to get these records and get the body cam footage. It is what it is. And, unfortunately, sometimes the guy with the bigger bullhorn wins. So everybody's speculating in the live chat. Is he going to double down and lie more on Sunday, or is he going to finally own up to making a mistake and tell the truth? We'll see what happens, but I'll pray that he does the right thing and takes the right path instead of the left-hand path that he usually does, in my opinion. So what can I say, friends? We've done our due diligence, and I worked very hard on this, and so did Spooky. So I'm happy to turn the page here. So we've done our due diligence. Thanks to all of you kind and generous benefactors. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. It really does help. There's instructions for how you too can contribute and help us continue the journey here. Thanks to all of you kind and generous benefactors. I was able to get this footage from the Boulder County Sheriff's Office and pay for it. So thanks to all of you for making this possible. So that's all I got, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you, especially you, Mr. Wilcock. I will pray that you find your road to redemption. Good night, and God bless all of you.
yeah, look at that. Very good. Oh yeah, look at that. Very good. Oh yeah, look at that. Very good. Oh yeah, look at that. Very good. I'm David Wilcock. I'm David Wilcock. I'm David Wilcock. Cock. Wow. 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 Extraterrestrials, angels, suck. Extraterrestrials, angels, suck. Extraterrestrials, angels, suck. Extraterrestrials, angels, suck. Extraterrestrials, angels, extraterrestrials, angels, extraterrestrials, angels, extraterrestrials, angels, woo, 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 talk, woo, 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 talk, woo, 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 talk, woo. I'm David Wilcock.